a verse that is distinct. A timeline is not equivalent to a power system. So I don't know if you watch any anime, but it's like, for example, Dragon Ball Goku has ki, and then Naruto has magic or chakra. I would say we can equivocate that if I were to grant his retarded ass normative assumption. However, we're not equivocating the cosmological structure, which the timelines will be inclusive of. Now, when we're talking about interactive power between the two fighters, that does not require the same timeline. The timeline itself is what codifies hybrid points within the setting. The timeline itself is not time. Those are two different things. So I grant that they will be in the same time frame if they're on the same we're talking about. If they're on the same they'll be affected in that specific hypothetical time frame is a different conversation. So he makes things that we accept assumptions. Nobody accepts these assumptions other than his retarded ass calm, which is filled with niggas like Dad Boy and shit. What the fuck? Give the argument as to why it's normatively assumed. Go ahead.
Okay. There's a couple of problems with that. The first one, if he grants the fact that we're in the same time frame without the, cutting out the unnecessary yap, the character, he's assuming that it's just some type of like cosmological interaction. All the claim was that he could reach into a timeline and remove 10 years from it, right? So if they're in the same time frame, he'd have to point out some significant difference between the flow of time in his verse, because at the same point, if we have to interact in the same time frame, something has to be equalized, right? So our timelines have to merge, or some type of magical properties have to merge, which I said I could show him a scan of, the magical properties like connective energy, like being a part of like literally everything in DC, which creates like the whole universe, right? So that's why I said that. Would you like to see a scan of that, Infinity?
Okay, so just clear goons, I'll get this beyond my point of tracking, but I don't need to. Premise makes the assumption that these timelines are equivalent. However, if the ability is only effective on X, Y, and Z timeline, while my timeline is X, Y, and Z, then the ability would not be effective. So there's a type of property in the system timelines within this verse that allows the ability to be effective, while that property does not exist in the same system of timelines within my verse. He has yet to justify any he has yet to justify distinction between the two timelines. I don't need to justify that there being a distinction between the two timelines because he made that original assumption. And for the other thing, yes, you can show that.
Okay. To address all that garbage that was ridiculous. So again, for our characters to be interact, the reason why it's just generally accepted for us to be in the same merged timeline and why that's perfectly acceptable is because there's no other way for our characters
it being in the same
verse. Can you get nine? Okay, yeah. That's called verse equalization, which you granted a part of earlier. I know you want to debate on a time frame and a timeline. If they're in the same time frame, then from different verses crossing over, something must have merged for this to be possible in the first place. That's how we're having this VSBW discussion in the first place. There's no reason to even interact or get on this type of semantical debate, but I could show you this right now, and then let me scan real quick.
Okay.
Because so
Goons, hey everybody.
I want to ask some Goons a question. So you remember him saying earlier he's okay with the magic and the power system being equalized?
Yeah, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But he said there's some sort of like granted equivocation there, but he's not granting like the time equivocation, right? And then
wait, goons. Let me clarify since y'all are talking about what I said. I said even if I were to grant the normative assumption, the only thing that will be equivocated is the power system, not the cosmological structures which the timeline is codified within. Now, I do not grant the normative assumption that there is verse equalization. I've said this 3 times. I don't know why my opponent is hard-headed or some shit like that. And then another claim that I would like to address is the fact that they exist in the same timeline. No, when we're talking about hypothetical fights such as Luffy versus Goku exist in different verses, we create some type of hypothetical or imaginative realm and where they battle in. They exist in the same verse. Whether or not they exist in the same timeline is a different point of contention. I never granted the fact that they exist in the same timeline. I said they can exist in the same timeline because there's no logical contradiction in two characters who share the same dimensional axes existing in the same timeline. However, you're presupposing that there is no distinction between the axes that your character upholds and the axes that my character upholds. So I don't care about these retarded ass presupposition. Do you have an argument? I'm going to answer for everybody in chat since you seem to dodge all my questions. No, he doesn't have an argument. He can't track. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Please send the scans, retard.
Okay. He's gonna continue yapping, but it's no problem. By default, what you just
is that all you say? Yap.
I mean, he's gonna keep interrupting me. It's no problem. So he's the one trying to say I'm disparate, but it's no problem. By default, what you've just like outlined is a sort of verse equalization. For us to have these VSBWs, yes, we need to create these hypothetical like parameters for these characters to interact, which is why they would be in the same timeline. All I pointed out was that my character could reach into a timeline and grab it and then remove like years from it, right? You're saying that there's a problem with this. There should be no reason you could do this to your character because there's some different x-axes or whatever it is. There's some, there's different property of your time versus mine. But again, for a character by default, to be able to interact, be in the same timeline, and on the same timeline we're on, since we're merged, we're in this situation, you'd have to give me a significant reason or if there were some significantly different properties of how time flows in your verse, which would make it impossible for my character to not do that. Again, it's just a regular hacks he has.
This dude is actually retarded. Oh my god. He keeps on saying it's necessary that I need to point out some type of relevant distinction or irrelevant distinction. I need to. What is the argument as to why I need to do that? You keep on answering the original question, but you're not answering this new question in which I brung up multiple times. What is the argument as to why I'm the one who needs to point out the distinction, Jester? I said it slow so you can get through your fucking stick skull, idiot. And another thing is, a timeline I don't grant. There's no reason as to why they have to exist in the same timeline to have interactive power. If my character exists outside of timelines, for example, then he does not have to exist in your timeline for him to interact with you in some way, because he can have an ability that allows him to exist outside of time's walls to your character or whatever. Can you talk? What's me? What's me to understand why?
It's only me is like
okay, so yeah, he's aided since already radio ever. But the is the point contention. How P inverts or where P is point of contention. So I want to answer this question. What is P? What is the timelines? The ability is contingent upon timelines properties are equivalent to any other properties. Could not say specific against my character. That means or premise would not go through. Simple as
okay. So I define a timeline now. I guess to put specific definitions.
About we don't have
Eastberg. And this is the default assumption for the timeline is. There's no specific definition for a timeline, and I'm assuming that to prove and go into DC and find itself. But this is the default definition of timeline. It's just a logical order of events. For characters to be able to interact, and I hope for characters to be able to interact, there'd have to be we're undergoing a chronological order of events, right? And my character is able to interact with that. Now, he was saying that it could be possible the characters outside the timeline. It's an argument for why he would be unaffected by that that we go in later on. But that has nothing to do with right now. Default or two characters, no more characters have to interact in some sort of setting. And if he's saying we're undergoing a time frame, we're under the same concession that we're under submerged timeline.
Okay, so what you're saying is, given a timeline, which is just a chronological series of events or whatever, if you're granting that they do fight, then you're like implicit granting that they're same like timeline. Is that?
I agree with default, unless like outside, then like 1%.
Just to enter the power of the same time they reclaim. However, if there's an ability, or at least in some possible world, my character has an ability to interact in the same, then this is necessary. There is character ability due to there not being a P and not P. Therefore, guess what? Everybody is an area. When you say something has to be, saying it's necessary, you're not possible. So when you claim that there's a hypothetical where my character has the hacks that allows him to close himself from the timeline, but still have interactive power with my character or your character, that means it isn't necessary. Stop using words that you don't know the meaning of. Another thing is, I don't know what the fuck it means for a definition to be default. I want you to give the definition that the series expands upon and that is contextually supported. I don't care about your retarded ass Timu Aristotle definition of what a timeline is. I want you to give an actual accurate depiction of how to define timeline within a verse. Go ahead.
To respond with him, I already addressed that second part, Goons. To make it super clear, I'm not being hyper literal. I'm just saying that, under regular assumptions of a versus battle, they're operating under some type of structure.
Why are they assumptions, dumbass?
Okay. Are you done?
Okay, Goons, I'm glad you're not retarded.
I'm about to adjust his argument. I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm about to adjust.
Like, what the fuck?
Can we get a moderator? Is this guy spurging or this is insane? Hey,
I was like, I didn't know if you were gonna let him like the Goons or not.
No, he's just crashing out. It's okay. But what's really clear is that I really in my earlier explanation of the gaslight, my earlier explanation, I already covered if he's talking about that his character is outside of this timeline property, I'm okay with that, and that's something that we would engage with later. But at the normal, when we haven't presented any arguments for our characters, and we're just two normal characters without presented any like legitimate like hacks or properties of the characters yet, the characters are interacting. I understand, and I made it really clear that I'm okay with the possibility of his character's outside of timeline and it's acausal, right? Because my character has a whole bunch of shit like that too. I'm perfectly okay with that. But I'm saying at the normal, right? When I'm saying my character could do this, he's saying, oh, what about this? Is he able to do to your character? And he started talking about getting really semantical with the timeline stuff, Goons. At the default, what it is. The reason why I say it, because if we're in a merged time frame, which is what he said earlier, he concedes to us being in the same timeline, and I'm okay with that. Now he'd have that his character is outside of time. Now that'd be his burden. And to stuff earlier, actually, I don't even think I need to yet. I think we covered up to that so far. No, Goons?
Okay, what's responsibility?
Yeah, so in translation, he was going to respond to what I said. He realized that he didn't track what I said, so he acted like he didn't need to respond to it. Another thing is going to ask you a question. If it follows that it is only effective against a system which has the following properties, X, Y, and Z, while in the hypothetical verse, the system only has X and Y, would that ability be effective against the system, yes or no?
It seems like it's possible that it could not be effective. If that's
okay, yeah, thank you. So even if I were to grant, which I don't know why he keeps on saying I do, I never grant timelines are merged. I grant that the verses are merged to a hypothetical imaginative space in which they can interact with each other and on the same axis or on a tier. Granted that the timelines are merged, but even grant timeline, whether they interact with each other is completely distinct from whether or not this ability will be effective against my character. So let's say you have an ability that's only effective against people with magic. My character doesn't have magic. If verse equalization isn't granted, what you keep on saying is normatively assumed and granted, which you have yet to give an argument for. If verse equalization isn't granted, it would not follow at all that the character's ability that you're talking about will be effective against my character, since my character doesn't have mana. However, since this character has a punch which does not require the opponent to have mana to use, then yes, you're going to interact with my character. Now, such the ways to interact. If it has an ability content or their opponent having an ability that they don't have, it would not work. However, if you have a punch and which is contingent upon whatever power system they have within the verse, then yes, the punch can work. Now, please, can we conclude? You're just chatting.
Okay. I'm gonna adjust everything you said. Can you hear me clearly, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that clear in his own explanation, he's explaining that our verses are merging in some type of hypothetical setting. He literally just explains to you what verse equalization on later on to prove why his character wouldn't be affected by this. What he literally just explained right now was verse equalization by not arguing verse equalization, which I find ridiculous. To the earlier stuff that you were saying that I wanted to address later about me giving an explanation for time in my verse, there is no real explanation for how time flows in a verse. We again just assume the default,
nice concession.
Which is just, okay. I don't know why he's sparking out. He's crashing out. Yeah, there's no like legitimate definition for it. We literally just assume the default is humans on Earth who undergo a casual flow of time. So we just go with the default, which is how time flows here, unless like something is specifically stated in some like crazy different dimension. But on the normal, it's just like a regular like a sequence of events. You know what I'm saying? So if our characters are undergoing a sequence of events, we're on the same timeline. That's my definition. He argued for first equalization, and yeah, it's okay. So you'd have to, it's his burden to prove why his character is not interactable with in that sort of way.
Okay, so you're saying that when they do interact, it is the case that your character would win, right?
Yeah, if they're on the same axis, which is like what the possibility is. If they're on the same axis, his character is like not like a causal or some crazy shit. And he's saying that we merge the verses into some like equalized location, or we merge the verses in like this hypothetical location. Since our characters, if they're on the same axis, they're undergoing a sequence of events against each other, which makes this versus battle possible. Which verse equalization is what makes the versus battles possible. We would literally by definition is that we have to assume they're undergoing a sequence of events because that's how that's happening. Unless his character is like crazy magic or some shit, we'd have to prove, right? And then my character can interact with that sequence of events and remove them from existence. That's all I'm explaining. So you'd have to prove why his character is immune to that now.
Vader mistake 1. Tracking issue, notebook pad 8. Yanni section. I don't need to justify anything currently. I agree that there's a condition. If they exist on the same axes, they can potentially interact with each other. That's not the hypothetical. What you said was they had to interact with each other for it to be a timeline and for it to be a cross-verse netting. That is the claim that you made. Now you're hedging and changing it to a conditional because I beat you the fuck up on that retarded-ass claim that you made originally. Anyways, I never granted verse equalization. Stop saying that. Secondly, when you're saying there's no grounded definition in the verse, okay, my nigga, that's your fault. If we cannot determine conclusively what they mean whenever they say timeline, then we cannot determine conclusively whether or not the ability would affect my character within the series or within a hypothetical verse. You saying it's normatively assumed is just a low tier tactic. Oh, well, why should I accept X? It's normatively assumed. Why should I accept Y? It's normatively assumed. What is the argument as to why it's normatively assumed? And 2, what is the argument as to why we should accept normative assumptions in hypothetical cross-verse debates? There is no argument. I'm going to keep saying that. There is no argument. There is no argument. There is no argument. I'm going to keep on saying that until you understand it, Jester. Please give an argument for any proposition you've made. All you do is repeat yourself. You repeat the original proposition. You have yet to give any justification. If you don't even know what the fuck that is. But anyways, hold on. I'm not done.
So
I'm not done. Can you please mute him? I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Can you please mute him? Wait, that's fine. You can be muted though. Yeah, so just to be clear, goons. A verse is just the cosmology they exist in. I don't understand why he was unmuted. Anyways, a verse is just the realm in which they exist in. The timeline exists in the verse. The timeline is not the verse, everybody. The timeline is distinct from the verse. So just because they exist in the verse does not mean they exist in the same timeline. So would you like to conclude, Jester?
Okay. I think you just filled up your argument with a bunch of jargon by agreeing with me. So I'm just gonna, address a bunch. I'm gonna address a bunch of things they said. Goons, he literally said in his statement that he's like putting into question the verse equalization and even the hypothetical of them like essentially like interacting. Like there's no even point of having the verse battle in the first place if he's not okay with that default assumption, which he has to be by engaging in the debate in the first place. That's number one. That's like the clearest thing out of all of this. And I don't think he addressed a bunch of things that I said earlier, which I find a little ridiculous. All I'm saying, and I've made it like pretty clear and even said it himself, that if we are on the same axis, on the same timeline, right, we have to, like, and again, I'm not being hyper literal. I said this earlier, Goons. I don't know if do you remember me saying that?
I do think so, yeah.
Yeah, I have to clarify it again. I never hedged. I never dropped anything. I never like refined any of my claims. It's just the way I talk. I'm never being hyper literal. I'm okay with, the possibility aspect of it. I'm saying if our characters are on the same, axes in the same location undergoing a sequence of events, they're on a timeline. They're on the same timeline together, right? Now, him assuming, we don't know how time works in my universe, so we can't say how, it flows.
Brother.
Okay. I don't know why he's getting unmuted. So the default definition that I've placed for what a timeline is just a sequence of events. I don't know if he's putting into question how time flows. If he is, I'd like to have a basis for my versus time flowing differently. If not, I'm going to dismiss his skepticism for being literally baseless. It's just baseless skepticism. That's one right there. Other than that, because, we just undergo a sequence of events. That's how it just works regularly. Unless he's, putting into question that it works in some very specific, different sort of way. So it'd be, other than that, it's perfectly acceptable. Then we had that other point that he just made. So honestly, I think I addressed everything that he said. It's pretty clear what I'm trying to say. As long as I'm not hedging, he's not catching me out there, and he's not like dropping the way time flows. As long as we're on the same axis and same timeline. Again, it literally would have to be his burden right now, Goons, to prove his character like operates differently in time to be unaffected by it. Like that, I think I made that pretty abundantly clear. He's just like, inserting a bunch of jargon nonsense, so he could respond to that.
Holy yacht fest from Jester here. Oh my god. Ramble. So just to be clear, Goons, let me clarify something. The definition he grants and posits currently is not, at least we can determine whether or not that is the same definition that the verse uses. So yes, I grant hypothetically a timeline within a hypothetical verse can be a written account of events that is going on, but whether or not that shares the same properties as what his verse defines a timeline as is distinct. So if we grant that within the hypothetical verse, if there is some type of performative actions, which there is going to be, the characters fighting obviously, then that does not entail at all that systematically they are equivalent to the timelines within a verse. So like I said, within the verse, it can be a written account of events that also has X, and then X can be the trigger for the ability's effectiveness. If X is not equivocated to the system that allows for events within the hypothetical series or verse that these characters are fighting in, then no, it would not translate and the ability would not be effective. Another thing is a lack of me granting the definition does not entail a lack of engagement. So I can not grant your definition, but we can still engage in a topic because my character can interact with yours. The only reason why you're saying it's normatively assumed is because of your prior debates with people like Dad Boy, Jester, Opal, all them shitty ass niggas. So just to be clear, I'm going to say it slowly for you. I don't grant your definition. I don't grant verse equalization. I don't need to grant verse equalization. I don't grant that it's normatively assumed that verse equalization is granted, etc. I don't need to grant any of this at all. What is the argument as to why we should grant it? What's the argument as to why it's assumed? There is no argument.
I think I've given the argument. I'm
not done. So anyways, if my character doesn't have an ability that is specifically targeting some type of power system, then yes, the characters can interact with each other without making the normative assumption correlative to power equalization. If Luffy just has a regular punch in which is able to destroy moons and the moon's size is calculated, we have a specific tier in range that Luffy's strength is calculated to. So we don't need verse equalization because the punch is not correlative to a specific power system in which no other character has. However, if the punch is correlative and contingent upon a specific power system, well then boo-hoo, my nigga. Unless you can explain why the properties aren't that distinct, I don't need to grant that the punch would be effective or ineffective. So yes, unless you give a definition that is grounded in your series, then we cannot equivocate the ability's effectiveness to the hypothetical verse unless you make an assumption, which I'm not positing the fact that you can make that assumption all free dealy willy. And for the skepticism thing, the skepticism basis is just a lack of knowledge. I can use my lack of knowledge of your statement being true as a basis for skepticism. That's the reason why I'm questioning it, due to a lack of knowledge of the proposition that you made being true.
Okay. So to address everything that he said, Goons, first off, that's a very insufficient basis for skepticism.
Yeah, what's the argument? What's the argument for that?
I was about to give it to him, and you can mute him, please. So that's a very insufficient basis for skepticism, just basing on that you don't have knowledge of the verse. That sounds like a skill issue to me. The fact that you don't read my verse is insufficient reason for you to just dismiss legitimate sequences of time or how the properties of my verse works. You'd have to provide a little bit something more. That's my argument from that. So that's actually ridiculous. And so what you said earlier about the properties and why this punch wouldn't work against, we don't need verse equalization, and you don't know whether or not this verse should work. So Goons, I'll ask you this as a judge. From what he's saying that he thinks it's possible. We don't need verse equalization, but he's unsure of the properties of either verse and if they could even interact with each other. So, but he said earlier that we are merging in a hypothetical scenario where we're in the same axes, we could interact and punch and fight with each other. So if he doesn't think that we can interact with each other because the properties are so significantly, it's either we can't interact with each other because our properties are so significantly different, which means we can't have the battle in the first place. You know what I'm saying, Goons?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So that's one. Or, right, what he said earlier, we're in a hypothetical scenario where, even when we don't have to merge all the power sources, we can have different power sources. It's okay. As long as we're going under we're under the same chronological, movement of events, which I'm perfectly okay with. We'd have to be able to, if we're on the same like x-axis and, at the minimum interacting with each other, or this fight is even happening in the first place, we'd have to have at some minimum, some merging or some equalization of the verse. So it's either this versus battle can't happen in the first place, and you're against with the versus battle even being possible at all, right? Or we're undergoing the same sequence of events, and our characters can interact unless your character has a magical ability that allows us not to. That's the most simple way to break down what he was saying. So it's either or. If it's the second one, then we can literally just move forward because it's getting absolutely ridiculous. And again, to ride back on the skepticism point, lack of knowledge is not sufficient basis to dismiss that the sequence of events exist in my verse. You'd have to give me some type of reason or some type of like evidence as to why my verse's sequence of events or flow of time is so significantly different that it would literally make it like impossible to merge the timelines or for our characters to interact. That'd be ridiculous. It's a ridiculous claim. So you go ahead and address that.
Wait, so Goons, yeah, hold on. Well, Clicksu, can we all keep track of how many times he just repeated the same claim over and over again? All I'm hearing him is spout out propositions, not arguments, not reasons, but propositions. So just to be clear, Goons, there's multiple things. One, sharing a timeline does not mean you share the same events. You can share a timeline. The timeline is what codifies the events. So my character can have X event, his character can have Y event. Another thing is, I don't need to justify anything correlative to his verse. He is making a presupposition, because I don't know if you heard it, Goons. Confirm after I'm done. But he made the original premise, which was, my character does X, Y, and Z. Does that not presuppose that his ability would be effective because he's assuming his character's able to do X, Y, and Z, correct?
I could see that being the case, sure.
Okay, another thing is, I'm not unsure of how my verse works. I just gave a hypothetical in which there's an ability my character has that doesn't require it to target a specific power system. So even if I were not to grant verse equalization, there's still a hypothetical in which my character can use an ability that does not require targeting a specific power system. Like, for example, a punch, or for example, a Kamehameha wave. Nowhere in Dragon Ball does it state a Kamehameha wave only works against people with ki. Therefore, what can we assume, or what can we justify? We can justify the fact that it can work on anybody who is an entity. Obviously, that's obvious, my nigga. Another thing is, why is it an insufficient basis? You saying it isn't are you saying it is an insufficient basis? That's just a claim. What's the argument as to why it's an insufficient basis? Yes, I have a lack of knowledge on whether or not your propositions are true. So yes, I can put it into question. One, I don't even understand why skepticism needs a basis. Secondly, you have no argument as to why it is an insufficient basis. Thirdly, you making a claim that it's an insufficient basis due to me not reading the verse and that being a skill issue. How is that a fucking argument? What's the inference rule there? Why is that a valid argument? Why is that a sound argument? Go ahead.
Okay, is he done? Okay. for the basis and skepticism thing, I'm gonna put in the clearest possible example that I can to make anybody understand this. He's gonna say, "Oh, I don't think that's true. Why do you not think that's true? What's your basis for you not thinking that's true? Because I don't know about it. That doesn't follow through at all."
Wait, so just to be clear, I never made the
okay,
claim it wasn't true. What I don't think it's true. I'm putting in the
No, I'm
question
making an
whether or not it
example.
is
So
true. Goons.
I'm making
So
an
wait,
example.
no, original.
I know. So you're
Wait,
putting into
Wait,
question.
hold on. Were you asking him to? Or
No.
you just-
That was rhetorical. I'm explaining something. So I'm not saying that he's literally saying that it's not true, Goons. I'm just making an example of he's trying to dismiss something via skepticism, and via the basis of the skepticism would be his lack of knowledge of it. So he's trying to let's say he's trying to dismiss some X claim by saying I don't know enough about it, so I'm going to be skeptical about it, even though which is not which I've explained why it doesn't follow through, or why that's there's not enough grounds if I've shown information that time flows here. Humans interact normally with each other the way we do, so by the default we assume this. If he's trying to go against that default, he would have to give me sufficient evidence to why it flows differently in my dimension, right? That's just like a baseline, right? And I've seen nothing to show that. That's that's my argument for that. That's not a repeated claim at all. What he was saying earlier, and I said this too, Goons, if you remember this, I'm okay with us having different abilities and powers for different verses and punching each other. I'm perfectly okay with that. All I care about is our characters, interacting with each other if they're on the same axes. He gave a definition of timeline, which I think, all he did was jargon it, but I don't think he's ever legitimately. He says he disagrees with my definition, but Goons, did he ever give a legitimate definition that's completely different from what I've said is just a sequence of events?
It's not clear that he gave a definition of a timeline there.
Yeah.
Wait,
So
Infinity's not here, by the way.
okay, that's fine.
Yanni section.
When he gets back, I guess we can do closing statements.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to. I think we're
Bro,
on a circle.
Goons,
So.
bro. Goons, bro.
Yo, what's up?
You should have forced conclusions 3 hours ago.
By the way, Cizo, I don't have the recording. I lost it. I deleted a bunch of my recordings. Somebody in Gangbook has that recording though. I don't know who
Actually,
it is.
Goons.
It's
is this
the
your
owner.
first fictional judge? As a judge.
Oh yeah.
Damn. Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Have I ever debated Demi? No. Okay. No.
Yeah, I gotta watch my clothes soon.
Simply just
I gotta
don't
watch this.
care.
Bro. Niggas are weird in chat, bro. The real baby Kia just at me, are you a femboy?
No, we're just Tamaki, we're just going over the semantics of we're just going over the parameters of the versus battle today. Since we don't agree to any, set thingy.
Bro. The next person who joins up this stage that's not debating or judging or moderating, you're timed for a week. Please remove yourself. Please.
So the masterpiece, he doesn't agree to any set parameters, so we have to build them in the debate. No, I'm not using the reverse flash. I was using the reverse flash against the other. I forgot his name, but I'll do it after this debate. Yeah, this is gonna be a stamina. I mute him.
Okay, so one, just to be clear, I do grant that there is parameters. The parameter is going to be a hypothetical
I never said
version
there
in which
weren't.
these two characters.
I
Yeah,
never
please,
said
can you
there
please
weren't.
mute him? I don't understand why I was
You don't
muted
have to mute
instantly
me,
every
bro.
single time.
Okay.
Every single time I speak, I'm muted instantly. But as soon as he speaks, he gets 50 fucking seconds to finish.
I was typing in chat. I was saying that I wasn't mismoderating. I didn't know you were back. You retard.
So Goons, just to be clear, Goons, just to be clear, I never made the proposition that I'm able to dismiss what he said due to a lack of knowledge. Secondly, he keeps on saying it's an insufficient basis. There's no argument as to why it's an insufficient basis. Thirdly, I want to repeat every single thing that he said while I was going. when I tried to type in chat that I was going. But you know, Archie being a poor moderator didn't say that for some reason. You know, I typed it 80,000 times. Archie, you'll be victim. Anyways. Hold on. I'm not done, by the way.
Bubbles victim, bubbles victim, bubbles victim, bubbles victim.
Anyways, the fuck.
Oh, by the way, Infinity, we're doing conclusions.
Well, I did not agree to that. What the fuck? You can't just have this nigga give arguments while I'm not here and then conclude. I knew this nigga was gonna hold me over, bro.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I didn't know you were not there, so we don't have to do conclusions if you don't want to.
Just to be clear, I grant the definition of timelines that he's using. I agree that a timeline is just some type of system in which codifies hybrid points. However, whether or not that's what the verse uses is distinct, goons. I know you don't do crosswords, so I'm going to clarify. Our definitions does not have to be the same as the author's definitions. The author's definitions can be clarified within the verse in which he's obviously creating. So the author can define matter as X, Y, and B, and we can define matter as Y, Z, N, A, etc. Those are two distinct definitions. When we're talking about verses and interpreting verses, giving our own analysis so we can see who wins between the two characters, we're going off of what the author defines abilities as, what the author defines cosmological features as, etc. Not what we define them as, or if we do not have a clear depiction of what they define it as, we can go off of normative assumptions. But guess what, goons? We can't determine whether or not what he's saying is a normative assumption for the verse or for fiction. All he's doing is granting a term in which we do not have any argument for. So if the ability, and I'm going to say this for the last time so you don't hold me over, even though I still believe you're going to hold me over. If we grant that within this verse, the timeline has X, Y, and B property and the ability is directly interactive with B in which allows the consequence to be fulfilled, then if there's a hypothetical verse in which these timelines exist in, but in a distinct way where it does not have B, the ability would not be effective because there's no B, which is the antecedent to allow the consequent, which is the abilities, whatever the ability does to happen. Now, he's saying I need to point out a distinction between the timelines in this verse and a timeline with my verse. He is so ass, he can't even tell me what the timelines in this verse account for. He's telling me what he believes they account for. But has he sent evidence, goons? No, he has not sent a single piece of evidence. So I'm going to wait for the evidence. Then we can conclude after this. By the way, if he doesn't say anything after this, we can conclude. But I'm going to wait for the evidence for why the timelines are not distinct. That is the claim he made. That's the presupposition he made. He made the claim that I need to send some type of justification, which I don't at all, because that was his presupposition. I'm just asking why this follows. Why is this sound? He doesn't even know what a sound argument is. And just to be clear, like I said, repeat everything you said, or else it's just getting dismissed.
By the way, Jester is server muted.
Shout out to Mono.
Okay, that was ridiculous, but to make it clear before he tries to interrupt me, make rhetorical jabs, can you just mute him instantly right now? Because it's what he's been doing consistently. So I'll respond to everything right now in a second. Like he was just explaining. Archie here?
Shout out to Flames.
Yeah. Archie, hello?
Yo,
Archie
can we
gone?
agree to Sakazuki as my...
This shit's getting out of hand. Okay. I think after just we're gonna go to conclusion.
Shout out to Shin.
Okay, this is absurd.
Yo, hello. Should I moderate? I think Archie died.
Yeah. Can you just mute him?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see which one we gotta go over first. So I'm happy he grants my definition. So we're free off that. He's basically saying that it's possible. And this from what I'm getting from his argument, he's saying that it's possible that there are some different parameters with how time works in my verse. I'm saying that, the author has shown me none of that. And why we assume default is because all we see is people on Earth interacting normally like we see in our world. So we just assume there's just a baseline flow of time. If he's saying that there are some parameters that are so different in his verse that when we merge in this timeline, my character can't use his ability, that's his burden to prove that. I have nothing to do with that. You'd have to have a burden to prove that. He's skeptical of how time nerds, he says, they always explain how time works specifically. I don't think that's necessarily true. They just show a sequence of people fighting and interacting. So we just go under our normal, that's how we go under a normal assumption of, time is just flowing. If there's no set rate or speed, if he's saying that it's some different set rate or speed, or he's skeptical that there's some different set rate or speed or some different properties of how time flows in my verse, I'd have to have a basis for that as well, for that skepticism or some evidence or something. You know what I'm saying, Goons? I'd have to see, some evidence for the parameters of how time flows in his verse. That'd be a little, why it would be inconsistent for my ability to not work. All I've really claimed is that my character is able to interact with a sequence of events, and there would be a sequence of events undergoing in this hypothetical situation, which is what I argued as the definition of what verse equalization is, Goons, and that's all I really wanted. So I'm happy he agrees with the definition, so we agree there. And so now we get into the point of, are there too many different parameters in our verses that will not, when they equalize, will let my character not able to interact with it? So I want to see a basis for the skepticism, again, or why he even thinks time could flow. Or, I'm okay with the possibility of time, like, in any verse flowing differently. But first off, when they equalize in the same setting, we're moving at the same set rate. And, you know what I'm saying, Goons? We're moving at the same set rate unless the characters, we have to argue speed after. But at a baseline, when we're moving on the same axis, time is flowing the same where we're at. So that just gets evened out. So it's either he's saying that the properties are so different in his verse and mine that when they equal out, I can't use my ability anymore. Or it's the opposite where, we're on the same property, everything evens out, and my character is able to still use his ability. He's given no real reason as to why my character can't use his ability here. It's kind of a lot of yappery. So that was pretty much about it. He's just saying they should give specific definitions for how time flows. But I'm just saying we have some example of how time flows normally, which is just sequence of events. He'd have to give me some evidence for a different set rate or change in my verse or the different primaries of his. So I want to see some evidence for that, or if anything, we can just go to conclusions.
He's so spaz, so please mute him, Sakazuki. So just to be clear, systematic codification of time or hybrid points is distinct from a written account of events. You're presupposing, and just to be clear, I granted that you can use the definition of timelines. You can use it. Whether or not the author's depiction of what a timeline is within his verse is the same, no, I do not grant that. What is the argument as to why the author grants that your definition is true, why it's likely that he grants is true, or why we should even normatively assume that we grant or that he grants is true? The argument you just gave, I don't believe it logically follows. What's the inference rule? You said empirically, if we see people having interactive power with each other within a verse, that is justification for the system being the same, or that's justification as to why we should assume that the system being the same. However, empirical validation of existing properties is not an argument as to why the non-existing properties are there. So you can say it exists, that's of interactive power between two characters, but whether or not that justifies there not being an X property and which allows your character to have an effective ability against the timeline is distinct. So I can see that people are moving. Does that justify that the system doesn't have X property? No. So the system allows for Y, which is moving. We see that people moving, so we can biconditionally verify that the system allows for Y. Y equals moving. Now, does us seeing that the system allows for moving justifies the fact that there's a lack of X property, which is the property which allows another character to come to this timeline or whatever? No, it doesn't. The only thing positive justification accounts for is a lack of non-existing properties, a lack of the negation. So if we verify that X is the case, then obviously biconditionally not X would not be the case. However, not X and Y are two different things. So it can be X and Y. It does not have to be not X and X. That's a contradiction. Anyways, another thing is,
Are you done or did you die?
my bad. So I grant verse equalization in a sense of the character sharing a verse. The verse is equalized in a sense they share a verse in which they can fight in if they're on the same axes. I do not grant verse equalization in a sense where they can have interactive power between each other. Just for them to be in the same verse doesn't mean they have to have interactive power. For example, we can see in Dragon Ball, Zeno doesn't need to interact with Goku to share the same verse with him. He chooses to, but whether or not he needs to is a different claim. Stop making all these claims about necessity. I already gave a basis towards my skepticism. For you to dismiss it and say it isn't a basis just presupposes that it's either one sufficient or it isn't a basis in the first place. I'm asking you why it isn't sufficient, and unless you gave an argument while I was going, which I'm dismissing since I wasn't here for, by the way, and you're not repeating it, unless you gave an argument for while I was going, I'm not accepting the argument at all. I'm not accepting that it's an insufficient basis. So obviously you're just going to presuppose that the skepticism does not hold if you presuppose it insufficient insufficient basis is there, but the point of contention is whether or not it's an insufficient basis. So my character can have an ability X in which can interact with your character, while ability Y is specifically contingent upon something your character doesn't have. Therefore, there's no interactive power between your opponents and Y, but we still have interactive power overall between the two characters. Just specific properties cannot interact with each other. Idiots, it's simple as that. Would you like to conclude? Holy shit.
Yeah, I don't think he really addressed anything I was already saying. I don't think he addressed any of my skepticism either. So I'm gonna go to conclusions. You think we're gonna go, right, Goons?
Okay, and just to be hold on, and just to be clear, before we conclude, Goons, all he did was beg the question the entire time, no Gias. But yeah, come on, go on.
I want to get a closing statement.
Sure, and I.
Go ahead, Jester.
I'm going first?
Yeah.
No, I think Infinity was about to go. I saw you say it was. I mean, are you about to go?
Oh, okay. There you go, Infinity.
Well, I was, but you can go since you know they want you to go so bad.
All right, bro. Now we're not gonna be little 12-year-old girls about this. All right, Infinity. Like, my bad, bro. My bad for muting you. Go ahead, bro. Like, I don't care who conclusion goes. All right, Jester, you can go ahead. I don't think he wants to.
You don't want to go? Okay. So let me see how I could best sum this up. I put all his skepticism essentially. I asked for a basis. He said lack of knowledge, and we dive into the fact that since his lack of knowledge is, I believe it's insufficient. The reason why I gave is we go back onto the actual argument, which is what we see happening in DC. So he asked for a very specific definition. I just say we see humans interacting with each other normally. So we see sequence of events. He says it's, it's possible that there could be some different properties, which I immediately like, yeah, it's possible, but what's your basis for, there being significant different properties from your verse and our verse that doesn't allow our characters to interact? I put at least 2 burden of proofs on him to give like examples of some like outrageously different properties that won't allow our characters to interact from my verse. From OEC, actual definition from the author, he said the author could think this and that. I already explained that, and he never denied this, is from showing Earth. And this is a closing statement. This is a conclusion. I won't be too long. I'm just gonna end it up real quick. I just coughed something up. Yeah. So from what the author shows, pretty much it's characters on Earth interacting with each other. We just see sequence of events. He puts into question.
He's lost. He's lost. He's lost. Yeah. He's lost. Oh my god.
Okay. Bro, niggas can't cough anymore? Damn, bro. I can't have allergies? Okay. Is that it? Okay, whatever. Yeah, so he never elaborated upon the insufficient basis. He kind of just went in a circle. I'll make that clear. That's why I think I won that point. Him basically agreeing with what my definition of verse equalization was and timeline, and he never responds to the argument where I said all my character is able to do is interact with a sequence of events. So him granting that there's a sequence of events going on, unless he gives some evidence of some very significant property from his verse to my verse when they equalize, that doesn't allow my character to use his ability, he's cooked and loses that point like immediately. So everything that he said was pretty much yappery. We got down to the nitty-gritty of it. We set some parameters. He didn't really establish anything. He just gave a lot of really baseless skepticism that's based on lack of knowledge, which I said is insufficient, essentially on what the default was. So I showed him what the default was, what the default assumption would be in comparison to our world. The author writes human beings in comparison to our world, interacting with events. Unless there's something significantly different that he could prove or point out without any like legitimate basis skepticism that I put into question earlier, he really loses this point. So it's pretty cooked.
I don't. Please mute him. Thank you. So just to be clear, go. My bad. Hold on, give me a second. So just to be clear, he kept putting burdens. He kept putting burdens on me, but when I asked him why the burdens, I had to justify. He didn't give an argument as to why the burdens. I need to justify it all. He didn't give an argument as to why I needed to justify the burdens that he placed upon me. I asked him why my basis was insufficient. So, like I said, unless he gave an argument while I was going, which I said I was going to dismiss, and he had no problem with that. By the way, he never commented on me dismissing anything that he said while I was going. I said unless he gave an argument as to why it's an insufficient basis, then when he makes the comments an insufficient basis, therefore I don't have any basis to my skepticism. That would be a presupposition. Like I said, he made multiple presuppositions. He didn't justify any presuppositions. I don't need to justify any burden because he made the original presupposition within his premise. His premise was his character is able to go into my timeline and then erase my character either 10 years or his existence. I asked why that would be the case or would be effective. He kept on using the consequent. I agree the consequent is there, but the antecedents was put the point of contention is. So how does he do this thing? We agree that he does this thing within this verse, but how does he do this thing? Also for the normative assumption thing, when he said that it's normatively assumed in respect to reality, when I kept on questioning why it's normatively assumed, what did he do? It's normatively assumed. It's normatively assumed. Repetition isn't justification. That is no motivation for a rational thinker at all. There's no argument for that. But yeah, although I didn't conclude on everything that was said, I believe hopefully you were tracking. I already know I'm going to get hold over, but I just hope you were tracking, God.
Yeah, did you want me to give like my judgment now?
Yeah, Goons, give your judgment.
Yes,
point. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So, basically, the way that I was doing this is like every single time that I saw either one of you, make a good move, I would add points, and every single time I saw one of you make a bad point or say something stupid or not do something that was rhetorically effective, I would like take a point away. So what I've done here is I've like tallied it up, and I mean what I have like the results is it's a tie. Like you both are like super effective like rhetorically. I think there was a lot going on there, but I literally couldn't lean one way or another. I mean we can do like a poll or something, but I have a tie here. I mean they were both really good. Yeah.
Yes, this is what I'm saying, bro. Like, this is really the rivalry of all time in this combo.
No, I mean, they're both really good, right? They're both, like, good rhetoricians, so.
For sure, I agree. All right.
Do you want we can ask them if they want to do a poll or something.
I'll mute both of them. So,
Bro,
do you guys want to do a poll?
This is why I don't agree to judges. Like, look, just to clarify, please mute him while I'm speaking. He can speak after me. So, one, yes, we can do a poll. This nigga got hold. And then, secondly, thank you. So, one, we can do a poll. I'm pretty confident that this nigga got slammed and everybody who is actually good thinks that. And then, secondly, hold on. And then, secondly, anyways. And then, secondly, can you judge off argumentation? I don't care about rhetoric. I wasn't rhetorically trying. We literally agree to moderation. I can't rhetorically be at my best, but like I said, can you just go off argumentation? Who won argumentatively?
Yeah. Again, it's still going to be a tie for me.
Okay, do a poll. Sakazuki, do a poll for the tournament. Jester doesn't even have to agree since our judge is not giving judgment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously it's gonna be a poll for the tournament, but I'm just asking for like official shit. If Jester, do you want?
No, this guy like insta wins every poll. He has so many fucking dick riders.
What? That's not even true. Are you dumb? So, just because I'm better than you in literally every single way doesn't mean that it's biased or anything. People just consider me better than you because you fucking suck. Look, I know you're from a com where people like Dad Boy. I know you're from a com where people who spurg or value highly, but no, this is
I type in chat and you flew in chat like Superman. Jester, debate me, please. I need to debate Jester. Like every single day you hop on my dick 24/7. That shit's not even funny, bro. Like you joke and you flew in like Superman. Like you flew the debate's over. Don't serve me. Give my friend back. Don't let him perm music. Don't let him perm music. He wants to pack. I want to pack. Let's pack.
Wait, Jester, one sec. Jester, one sec. I muted him. Y'all can pack whatever right after this. All I'm saying is that officially for this debate, like just like outside of you guys like counting this as a win or loss, he can go as a tie because your judge says a tie. But I'm saying for the tournament itself, right? Either you can accept the tie, right, and I can give both of you a point, right? Or if you want to try to get the win, I can just do a poll.
No, I'm taking. I'm not done. I'm just taking the tie. That's okay.
You're gonna take the tie.
I'll take the tie. There's no point in running polls against this fucking guy. This shit's insane. All right. He has the clan.
Wait, so can you please? I don't understand what I'm. Can you please mute him, Sakazuki? Can you please mute him, Sakazuki? So one, I don't know why. Hold on, chill. One, I want to do the poll. I don't agree with that. And then secondly, we're going to my skelly. This nigga thought he could run away. Look, like I said, Jester, I know you're from a com where people value spurging like Dad Boy and shit like that. Spurgers like Dad Boy. But this is Infinity's com. You're not in that com anymore. So once again, my character is able to imagine anything he wants. He's able to bring his imagination into reality, and he's just gonna boom your character type shit like that. So do you have any contentions, go on?
Wait, hold on. Wait. Infinity. Okay, so with the poll shit, like because you guys already agreed to a judge, if this ends in a tie again, all I'm saying is
I agreed. Yeah, I agreed to a judge under the presupposition that he judges off argumentation.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, like I said, we're not even done. So Go
Alright,
ahead.
you guys
What's your
just
contentions
go
with my
do
character
your
being
thing.
able to bring his imagination into reality? No mono.
So before I even engage with him, so he's just gonna just like ignore the judge's existence because he doesn't judge the way that he wants him to judge. So what's the point of even continuing this?
I mean,
Like,
if you guys
you get
want,
what I'm saying, Goons? Like, what's the
uh,
point of like even like continuing with my time here? You just don't agree with his judgment methods. You want him to judge based solely off argumentation. That's not what he does. Why would we continue right here? Like, what the fuck? Like, you're a Spurg. You're gonna mute him. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Bro, why does he ask me questions and y'all mute me when I try to? Anyways, so
Yeah, that's what I'm
one,
mute
yes,
you.
you're correct. I'm not. Yeah, so please mute him. Thank you, because I was muted instantly.
What?
He's still me to speak for some reason. Please mute him. Go ahead. As soon as this nigga got unmuted, I was muted instantly, but this nigga's still unmuted. Thank you. Anyways, so one, yes, you're completely correct. If the judge doesn't go off of the metric that I agree to, then I'm not going to agree to him as judge. That's tautological. If I don't agree to a judge, I don't agree to a judge. I agree to a judge who judges argumentatively. This judge does not just judge argumentatively. Therefore, guess what, everybody? I don't agree to the judge. I'm pretty sure almost everybody would grant, or at least most people who are competent, not Parlar or not Jester, most people will want their judge to go off argumentation, not rhetoric, not knowledge, argumentation. This is not the philo comp. We don't go off of rhetoric. We go off of substance. Yes, Jester, this is basic. Yay. Anyways, do you have a contention towards my character being able to do anything that he wants? Go ahead.
Okay, it's like you didn't track anything what I said. So again, I have no problem. Okay, we don't even need to mute him. It's not even necessary for us to get muted. It's just a casual conversation. Like, we're not even engaging in debate yet. All I'm saying is that I have no issue.
You
with,
just do a post, Sakazuki.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Infinity. I have no issue with your judgment philosophy. If that's what your judgment philosophy is, it's not mine, and it's
That's not what
Goon's.
philosophy is used as. I don't know what you're using that.
Okay, you understand what context I'm using the word in. Just stop being a weirdo. For a second.
I literally don't know what that
okay.
means in that context because you're using it incorrectly.
So since he's gonna be a Spurg, Sakazuki, you could just mute him. I thought I could have a
genuine
conversation.
What? He look what?
Look, I want to give it a chance because like I want to just I'm obviously trying to talk and interact with him, but he's not trying to interact with me. Like there's no reason for me to even get muted in the first place, either or too, because I'm trying to talk with him. But Goons, he doesn't accept you as a judge. Why are we up here debating?
I mean, wait, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he say it was a tie argumentatively? Like, didn't he say that? I thought he was
he's judging, but he's judging based on rhetoric and argumentation. Infinity has an issue with that, so he does not want Goons as a judge. So I'm saying, why, if he doesn't accept this guy as a judge, are we continuing a debate with no judge?
I mean, Infinity? Hello?
Wait, so please don't mute me after he literally just said I don't need to be muted. But just to be clear, I agree to his argumentative metric, and yes, you're correct. He said it was a tie argumentatively, which I don't agree with. However, that's why I'm trying to continue. But Jester has a lack of tracking. He thinks that I'm not agreeing to the judge. I'm saying I'm not agreeing to his metric or rhetoric. So let's say hypothetically he said you win the next point rhetorically in some impossible world because you do not have better rhetoric than me. But in some impossible world, let's say you beat me rhetorically via his judgment, which I don't agree with. I'm not agreeing to that metric. I care about the argumentative metric. So yes, we can still grant Goons, but I only care about his argumentative metric, in which he did just give, by the way. So if originally he says you beat me off of rhetoric, and then I said, so who won argumentatively? And then he says I won argumentatively, the points would go to me. And I think Sakazuki.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, so Infinity, you're essentially, you do agree to Goons as the judge, but only by his argumentative metric. You don't give a shit about the rhetoric.
Yes. But
right,
yeah,
okay,
do you have a contention with my character being able to do anything he wants? Go ahead.
No, so we're fine with Goons, so no problem. No, I'll prove that.
Hey, Mono, are you still in VC? Hey, someone get Mono in VC real quick. Is Mono in here? I can't see him. Yo, that nigga's in VC. Hey, Mono, send a scan in VC scans. Yeah, so read the fucking scan. That nigga Luffy, he's able to turn his imagination to reality because he's just that nigga, my nigga. So look at the scans. Yeah, so what's your contentions, little nigga?
Holy shit. Oh, well, let me unmute him.
Right. Bro, this is getting ridiculous. Can we please like pay attention?
Sorry, my bad.
Okay. This statement isn't hyper literal in the way it is. The way I interpret this is he's able to do things with his rubbery body that don't fit the norm of what usual devil fruit users could actually do. So I could think like he's like the equivalent to like what would be like a squash and stretch cartoon. Do you know what I'm talking about, Goons? Like squash and stretch, like Tom and Jerry and shit like that.
Yeah.
Where he makes like random shit like appear out of like nowhere and shit like that. But I don't think it's to any like crazy like reality breaking degree. Like I think he can make like a sledgehammer appear and like squash somebody and make it look cartoonish and shit. I think it's to that degree where he's talking about turning imagination to reality. I don't think it's anything like fucking like, you know, like out of verso or like you know, unbelievable concept breaking type of thing. So I think it's to that degree. That's my interpretation of this guy.
Yeah, so one, please meet him, Sakazuki. Hey, Mono, Mono, do you see what I mean? Like, there's no distinction between Jester and the low tiers. They use the same shitty-ass arguments. But one, give the justification for why it's limited to what you just said. You made the claim it was. You didn't put it into question. Secondly, it would be universal by your retarded-ass VSBW metric or whatever tiering system you use because VSBW asserts that universal is correlative to concepts. The mind is immaterialistic due to Islamic views being posited. If that follows, that means since he has direct interaction with the mind, he would also have to be universal. That's why your character can't interact with him, by the way. So that's one thing. Another thing is we see consistently it's an abductive and inductive case that the descriptions within One Piece or the names within One Piece of the devil fruits completely match up to whatever the abilities able to do. Is basically equivalent to epithets. Now, reality is objective. Reality is what there is objectively. So if it says subjective reality, that and the mind or subjectivity is just referring to what's dependent on the mind. That means if it says subjective reality is just saying reality dependent on the mind. Hello, did I cut out? Hello. Goons,
we can hear you're back. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We see consistently that the names and the descriptions of devil fruits cohere to whatever the devil fruit's actually able to do within reality. So we see, for example, the sand fruit is able to allow the character to produce sand, blah, blah, blah. And we understand that reality is objective. So when it says subjective reality, it's just saying it's subject to the mind, which would be correlative to whatever is in his mind is in reality. So yes, it would just be consistent, abductively and inductively. Hello. Also,
yeah, I'm still server muted. So Goons, again, you know, can we repost this again? So he's saying that Luffy's peaked the ability to turn imagination into reality. Again, this wouldn't be universal by VSBW because there are levels of subjective reality warping. And we haven't really dived into that. So he's just like made that claim. It's like it has no real basis behind it. I'll just post a Kaido fight. What he's basically shown in the fight from evidence here, and you know, you can see the video, you can just scrim through it. He's basically doing the equivalent to what is a squash and stretch cartoon. I have no problem with him having some level of subjective reality warping. I have no problem with the definition of his fruit being able to turn imagination to reality. I have no issue with it, but it's to some certain degree that isn't like unbelievable, like dimension shattering. Like, you get what I'm saying, Goons? Like, it's not like some crazy shit. It's just him being
right. You're saying you're saying there's like some sort of limit to it, or you have like no reason to believe that it's like, you know, he could like demolish Superman or something.
Yeah. So like, I agree with what he's saying. I agree that he has some level of subjective reality warping. I agree that he have some level to be able to turn his imagination to reality. Neither of the statements are false, right? But it's not like doesn't just go on. He can't just do whatever he wants, right? He'd have to give some evidence for that because from the fights that we've seen, especially in the fight that I just posted right now, there are some like limitations to what he's able to do, or just from what we've seen he's able to do, he's just like fighting like a fucking squash and stretch cartoon. So that's basically it. Like that's my argument. And what he says still coincides with my argument. It doesn't negate anything. So you can continue.
So just to be clear, please meet him, Sakazuki. I'm not granting basic deduction, Goons. Also, just to clarify, because I know you just tried to hold me right there. He never said there's no reason as to why X wouldn't be the case. He said he disagrees with X, and he gave a reason, even though the reason was as. So he did not put anything in that question yet. He's disagreeing with it blatantly, then trying to give some type of rational motivator as to why it's wrong, which he has failed to do, by the way. The argument is fucking ass.
I think he's misunderstanding me, and he's not really tracking what I'm trying to say. I didn't disagree with any of the statements that Infinity really made. I disagree with the level he's trying to blow it out of proportion. I think he's trying to blow the statements out of proportion. The statements stand true. He has some level of subjective reality warping, and he has some ability that lets him turn imagination to reality, which is what subjective reality warping is, right? That's what Toon Force is, but we don't see people.
Hold up. Wait, Jester. I think Infinity's internet cut out. He didn't actually finish like whatever he was saying. Apparently.
Okay. Then don't Goons and you two don't let him continue. I got a Gatorade. It's fine. I can sit over here.
All right, so can I unmute him, and then you're good to listen?
Yeah, you can
All
continue.
right, go ahead, Infinity.
Bro,
My bad,
why are you
my bad.
asking this nigga if you can unmute me when it was my turn to speak? What the fuck? What was I
Bro,
doing anyway?
because I was just cutting him off and telling him that, like, just to make sure he has no, because I don't want you to spurg out and
Okay,
get mad at
look,
me.
okay, is he here? Is he here? Is he
Chill
here?
the fuck out.
Is he here?
Holy
Is he here?
fuck.
Is he here? Is he here?
Yes,
Is
he just
here?
said he's listening to you. He just said
Okay,
he's
shut
listening
up
to you.
then. Okay, there's
Look,
no
you're
reason to
pitching
ramble.
like a
That's why I asked you to
12-year-old.
listen.
Shut up.
The reason why I asked you multiple times is because you kept on fucking rambling. Shut up, nigga. Damn. Anyways, so one, he made the disagreement. He did not put it into question. He did not say he doesn't see any reason as to why X is the case. Therefore, why should we accept X? He said it isn't the case due to X, Y, and Z, even though his rational motivator was retarded as fuck. One thing is, I agree there's a limitation. The limitation is his imagination. Secondly, just because the extent it has been shown is X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that it's limited to that. The reason why, or a good reason as to why that's the extent it has been shown to, is because he's using his prior ability as a model. So, Goons, I know you don't watch One Piece, but Luffy has hypothetically two abilities. So one is his rubbery ability. He's able to turn himself into rubber. His entire personality is based upon rubber. So if he gains a new ability that allows him to extend his rubbery abilities, he can use his prior abilities as a model. So he has Y, which is rubber abilities, and then X. He can base X off of Y because he has years and years and years of experience of Y. So he uses rubbery abilities. He uses rubbery abilities to fight with this newfound ability. Because the rubbery abilities is used as a model, he understands how the rubber works. He understands what the counter to rubber is. So he can use it as a model towards his new ability and whatever he's going to do with this new ability. But is it limited to that? There's no argument as to why it's limited to that. The fight that he sent is him using his rubbery abilities because he's using it as a model. Anyways, my bad. Hold on. I'm not done, by the way. When he says that there's... Oh my God. Am I still cutting out? Hello?
No, you're good now. You're good.
Okay, yeah, so when he says we're using, or there's levels of subjective reality on VSBW, no, I don't agree that there's levels of subjective reality. I believe that the specific limitation is what you're able to imagine. If the ability is described as the following, you're able to bring your imagination to reality. Obviously, if there's something that extends past your imagination, you're not going to be able to bring your imagination to reality because you can't imagine it in the first place. That's the limitation. I do not grant VSBW. What I do grant is deduction. Premise 1, Luffy is 5-dimensional. Premise 2, Goku is 3-dimensional. Conclusion, Luffy is above Goku due to the dimensional distinction. I agree with that. That's basic deduction. We can grant deduction. Premise 1, my character can do anything he wants. Premise 2, your character cannot do anything he wants. Conclusion, my character is able to do anything he wants to your character. Simple as that. We can grant that. That is completely fine. So when you're saying the extension of the ability is limited and we have not been shown that there is no limit, that isn't justification. That's just literally an argument from ignorance. I don't care about your lack of knowledge on this series to justify the fact that there is a limitation. I don't care about us using positive observations to justify there being negative observations or for a negative conclusion. That's retarded.
Are you done, or did you cut out? Infinity.
Hello. Yeah. So like I said, it will be it will be inductively and abductively consistent that all these devil fruits and their descriptions depict what's actually going on in terms of what the devil fruit does. Therefore, when we're talking about subjective reality, it would extend to this point as well.
All right, are you done now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So he basically conceded in his own argument right now about the levels of subjective reality. He disagreed with the levels of subjective reality, but gave himself levels of subjective reality. He said subjective reality is essentially limited to the mind of the user. Okay. So what I'm saying here, if that's the case, so there is some restriction, there is some limit on what the character is able to do. That was my claim, and you just agreed with me. So that's one right there. And so if that's the case, that there's the limit is his mind, all that this guy has been shown to do is fight on the equivalent of using some type of squash and stretch proportion reality bending abilities, which allow him to get advantage over his opponent. I don't think it's some outer worldly reality shaking, breaking ability, but I do think he's able to use Toon Force with his rubbery abilities, which is what this new thing gives him, which enhanced them. So all you did in the beginning was explain that Luffy is made of rubber and then agree with my claim. So I just don't understand, like, what the hell you just achieved right there. You could mute him and mute me. That just shit was fucking stupid. I could go to conclusions right now. That shit was dumb as fuck.
Nigga, I don't give a fuck about what your bitch ass think, nigga, on old black hoe ass nigga. Like I say, you stupid bitch. I don't give a fuck if you attribute random properties to the ability if you cannot depict those properties from the verse. But something I can depict is the abilities, consistency, and everything like that. When we're talking about Toon Force, yes, I agree it's Toon Force because Toon Force is correlated to what he's doing within the verse. However, whether or not Toon Force has levels is distinct. I don't agree that subjective reality has levels. Them having it having one overarching limitation, as in the generalized limitation, is not equivalent to it having levels. Levels will be tiers, as in 1, 2, and 3. A limitation is just a general aspect in which the ability cannot go by. So everything is encompassed by the set. You cannot bypass the set. That is a single level because it is encompassing the set is encompassing every single thing that is categorically distinct or categorically the same. But levels of sets will be set 1, set 2, set 3. It's closing the properties, but this thing has the same properties, so there's no level. The set entirely encompasses whatever we're talking about categorically. So when you're talking about I agree to you, I did not agree with shit, my nigga. We can conclude on old block, nigga.
So all he did was claim there's sets, and again claim that there's tiers of this thing. First off, I want to make it really clear. Toon Force is subjective reality warping. He used VSBW as a reference earlier, and I wanted to make that clear. Goons, you heard him, right? Before I pull out this fucking definition for what subjective reality is.
Yeah, I think I heard that, yeah.
Yes, okay. Just give me 2 seconds. Because he got to fucking just throw a bunch of insults at me, but I'm not going to say an insult, this fucking pussy. It's okay. Subjective reality, by definition, and this is what people generally use, it allows the user to induce reality to what is fiction, fantasy, or imaginary. That is why he's able to use Toon Force in equivalence to what squash and stretch cartoons are, where they're like stretching themselves to unbelievable lengths and like doing this crazy fictional shit and putting hammers out of nowhere and shit like that. Perfectly okay with that. He says that ability, right, his mythical fruit, which is what gives him Toon Force and enhances his rubber abilities that he explained later, is limited to his imagination. Everything that he said about sets was unbelievably irrelevant, because if he's saying that it's limited to the imagination of the user, everybody's brains work differently, which means like somebody could be not as intelligent and he was talking about experience earlier. Somebody could have the same ability, be less experienced with Luffy, and not know what to do with it. So their level of subjective reality warping would be worse than his. By literally what he just said, by concession, what he just said. So what he's saying is contradictory to itself. Everything he said about sets was literally irrelevant. And not only is he just digging a hole deeper and deeper for himself, he's going to sit here throwing insults, acting like he's cool, even though he's conceded for the second time in this debate and just getting really just dumb. If you want to conclude, I'll conclude right now. I promise you, he's going to unmute himself, say the same shit. I'm going to go straight to conclusions. How much do you want to bet?
That shit was not rhetorical, my nigga. This nigga just said he wasn't going to insult me and didn't call me a pussy. I think that's an insult, buddy. But Goons, like I said, you don't do crossfit, so I'm going to clarify something. Everybody, crossfit lesson 101 by infinity. We are not taking these characters in character. They're not going to be performing the same actions as they usually do. All we're doing is giving analysis on the ability that they have and how they use them, or not how they use them, the abilities that they have and whatever fundamental properties the ability has, and then we're comparing it to other abilities. I'm not saying Luffy with personality X is going to beat your character with personality Y. I'm saying Luffy with his abilities that he has in a verse with my own explanatory power towards the ability is going to beat your character. So I can use the ability however I want if I justify it. It's not limited to X or Y or B, whatever. If I justify there's no limitations, I can say that your character would just get turned into a ugly ass fucking hobo or whatever. So I do not grant that we're using these characters in character. Another thing is, just to be clear, Goons, I want you to clarify. I don't know if you're going to hold me over again, but look. What I said was VSBW tiers, not the hacks description. With hacks description, we go off of the descriptions that the author gives for their own abilities. VSBW tiers grant the fact that outerversal is correlated to abstractness. Did I say I grant VSBW? No. I said VSBW grants the fact that abstractness is correlated to outerversal because I know he appeals to VSBW. Directly after I said that, I said we can use basic deductions. Premise 1, Luffy is 5-dimensional. Premise 2, Goku is 3-dimensional. Conclusion, Luffy is dimensionally above Goku. Did I not say that, Goons?
Oh, I do remember you saying that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Wow. I'm not done, by the way. Hold on. Send more of the panels, by the way. Mono. For the description shit. For the set thing, by the way, that general ability doesn't have limitations. Characters have the limitations, not the general ability. So, just to clarify, I was talking about the general ability. There's one set of the general ability. The only thing is limited to is respective imagination. But the characters having limitations, yes, that can be levels. Also, Toon Force is not the same thing as subjective reality. You can have Toon Force, which is the ability to just have random shit occur as a cartoony, some type of stylish cartoony effect, but you don't need to base it upon your imagination. We've seen brain dead people are able to perform actions without relying on their imagination or consciousness. We see within reality, there's people with no imagination or conceptual, or they're also not able to give some type of conceptual analysis on what's going on, but they're still able to perform actions. So Toon Force is not relying on subjective reality. Subjective reality is just actions or reality subject to the mind, like I said. So yeah, we can conclude.
So, just mute him. I'm gonna address that fucking insane fucking tyrant he just went on. So when he's talking about the restrictions to the characters, at the beginning of this debate, he said he is using every version of Luffy that appears in the manga. Am I correct? Goons? That was his character? He's using every version of Luffy, right?
Yeah, I do recall that from like the very beginning, yeah.
Okay. So we're not just using some imaginary version of Luffy that he's cooking up in his head that could just use his ability on some fucking crazy shit. So the abilities, again, are restricted to, as he said right now and concedes right now, to the limitations of the imagination of his character and based on his experience with the ability. Now, this doesn't mean that this character, and I'm not saying that he's claiming he's abstract before he says that bullshit or repeating the claim. Does that mean that his character is automatically abstract because he could just imagine he's abstract? No, because again, can he just imagine that and just make himself that? No, we know that there's only a certain levels what he is capable of doing from what we see in the show and in the manga. To address the subjective reality point, Toon Force is subjective reality warping. When we say subjective reality, Goons, is in context of reality warping because that's what his character is able to do. That's what we've been talking about the entire time. You get what I'm saying? So when I mentioned Toon Force, and by definition, what she doesn't disagree with, what reality warping is by definition is stuff that's able to let you manipulate the boundary between like what's real and what's not, and it will do crazy, goofy shit and shit that's fake. Toon Force falls under that category. Are there other versions of it? 100%. But does Toon Force fall under the category of reality warping or subjective reality? Yes, it does. Just by definition of what it is. So there was that. The set point is still relevant because he's not using some imaginary version of Luffy because we're still using like any version of Luffy that appears in the manga. I'm pretty confident that he said earlier, and that's what Goons heard. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So unless you want to go to a conclusion, I think you pretty much lost.
Okay. This dude is so terrible. Please mute him, Sakazuki. Holy shit. So just to be clear, Goons, every single ability is reality warping. If I walk 2 steps, I'm manipulating reality. If I shoot a fire beam, I'm manipulating reality because I'm creating events that were not there initially within reality. Therefore, there is a level of manipulation of reality. I don't understand why he's saying subjective reality is specifically reality warping. No. Everything is reality warping. Since fire manipulation is reality warping, then it is not just limited to subjective reality. You can perform actions while not basing them on your imagination. Therefore, you're manipulating reality. Subjective reality is a specific type of reality manipulation where the things that you're manipulating are subject to the mind. But whether or not you need to be subject to the mind to manipulate reality is distinct. I already gave this argument, Goons. The analogical argument is the following. We see people within reality who are able to perform actions while being brain dead and not having any conceptual analysis in their mind or brain, whatever you want to say the conceptual analysis is derived from. Therefore, you're able to manipulate reality without anything being subject to your mind. Basic shit. Another thing is, hold on. Let me get this game, by the way. Another thing is, when I said I'm using every single possible version that has appeared within the manga, yes, every single possible analysis of his abilities and what he's able to do, not how he does it. Goons, just to clarify, his willpower and his mental state is distinct from what he is able to do. What he's able to do is not the same as what he does do. So I heard you. I know you just heard this shit. Do not be biased. I know you heard this nigga say Luffy is capable of X. If Luffy is capable of X, which is the ability to do anything, that's distinct from whether or not he does anything. What we see Luffy do is model this ability off of the rubbery, stylish, cartoonist effects that he has prior to him awakening this ability, since his ability is awakened from his new Gear 5 state. So I'm just going to clarify, Goons. Within One Piece, we have, I think, 10 gears that Luffy has, and then we have Gear 5, which allows for subjective reality, but he just awakened Gear 5. And then before that, he just had rubbery abilities, he can amplify them. I'm saying that Gear 5, he uses his abilities in Gear 5, and he models those abilities off of his prior abilities because he has years of experience using those prior abilities. So he's based upon rubber. So with his ability to turn anything into reality, he models that ability off of rubber. But he can extend it past the model, but he doesn't. That is distinct. As long as he can do it, that's all I need. I'm not using some type of imaginary version of Luffy. I'm using a version of Luffy in which he has these capabilities in which he just doesn't apply. So we are not taking the characters in character. We're able to control what the character does as long as they have the abilities and the capabilities to do such thing. I'm not saying that since I am in control of the character, that means he doesn't have any limitations now. No, what I'm saying is what he's capable of doing ability-wise or abilitatively, I'm able to control that It still has the same limitation. I'm just able to control how he applies the ability. The same as if Aang uses fire manipulation only when he encounters a water person, but I grant the fact that he has fire manipulation, in the hypothetical verse that we're having right now, I would just say he is now not only using it on the fire manipulation because that's something he chooses to do. He's not limited to doing that. He just chooses to do that. So we're disregarding their choice of action. We're not disregarding their course of action, retard.
Okay. So apparently everybody in VC, all 76 members are reality warpers today. But to address that point that he just made right now, to make it clear, when he says, to make it clear, when he says we're using every version of Luffy that pops up in the manga, you know, if he's using Luffy then saying, I'm going to say Luffy does this in my way, he's not fucking using Luffy. He's just picking out the ability and saying that this shit's going to happen to my character. That's not the same thing. I don't agree with him doing that. That's not a parameter that we've set at all, and you shouldn't be able to do that at all. That makes no sense. I'll explain why. Because if we only see this ability using this type of way, we know that this rubbery ability allows him to use some sort of toon force mixed in with his rubbery powers to imitate that of a squash and stretch cartoon. We can't just go that and take a jump from I'm imagining shit into the real world and your guy is gonna fucking die kaboom. You can't just do that shit. That makes no sense. That's not consistent with what and how the ability work. So we work off consistency. We have to see how the ability works. He can't just start naming shit that he thinks the ability could do when we clearly see it works another way from him. That's not consistent with his character at all. I even understand he's using composite, but it's composite in the manga. It's not some imaginary shit. His version of Luffy does not match the consistency of the version of Luffy in the manga, so that makes no sense right there. As to the reality warping point, you're not using reality warping in the same context I am. I made it really clear to Goons and the entire chat. I think everybody knows what we mean when we say reality warping. Obviously, you're some type of fucking confused when you say that you took 2 steps and you bent reality. You might be Chris Angel. I don't know. I don't know if you're a magician. I don't know. But that's up to you, big dog. Other than that, I don't think he really addressed anything I already said about, his ability and the limitations of it and the mind shit. So I'm ready to go to conclusions. Honestly, I'm ready to go. Because that shit was insane. That was a yap session. We can say whatever he wants.
Okay, look. Okay, mute him, please. So just to be clear, everybody, changes. Anyway, that shit was not funny at all. I'm just gonna let the silence air that real quick. Okay, anyway, shout out to NGL and Mono. So just to be clear, changes through time is what determines what's within reality. So if we are able to change through time, which we are, by the way, this condition is met, the antecedent, the consequent follows, which is that reality is manipulated. We grant the same definition of reality manipulation, which is just changing things within reality. Yes. So if there is water there and then I drink the water, that water is no longer there. Therefore, there's a change of events within reality. So biconditionally, we are manipulating reality. Whether or not we're performing the same actions to manipulate reality are two different things. The consequent is still met, which is reality's being manipulated. The antecedent is the point of contention. The antecedent for this situation is his mind. He goes into his mind and then he brings it into reality. The antecedent for the water analogy I gave is me changing the events. It's me drinking the water. There's a change of sequence of events. So yes, everybody manipulates water. You talking about that being unnormative or not normatively assumed, that's not rhetorical, my nigga. This is basic shit. I thought everybody knew this. And then when you say can't is a modal term. What is the argument as to why it's impossible that he cannot extend his abilities past his rubbery effects? You said the abilities based upon rubber. What's the argument upon that? It being modeled off of rubber and it being contingent upon rubber are two different things. I want the argument as to why there's an ontological dependency instead of him just modeling it off of rubber due to his prior experiences and prior knowledge on how rubber works because he's been with rubber multiple years over. So you saying there's no set parameters as to why this character is able to do it and we're able to turn the character into do it into any way. There's no set parameters for the same as what you're saying. You're saying we should take the characters in character. What's the argument as to why that's a set parameter? I do not agree that the characters are in character. I agree that they have the abilities that they are shown to have within the manga, but whether or not they use the abilities the same or is a different topic of conversation. I don't grant that at all, Jester. I want the argument for that. I believe that within a hypothetical crossword scenario, we're able to use the abilities that they have as long as we're not extending past the limitations. What you're doing currently is presupposing that the limitation he has is something that is in his mind. I only grant that the limitation in his mind. We know that he's able to imagine anything logically possible, anything conceivable he's able to bring in within reality. If my character beating your character is conceivable, or my character turning your character into a rapist like Gyasu's brother is conceivable, therefore by conditionally he would be able to bring it into reality in virtue of this ability. As simple as that. And then when you're talking about a consistent data set, that data set doesn't actually represent the conclusion you're trying to reach. The data set of what's been shown is not representative of what's being limited to. It's been shown because he acts in X way. Is it being shown because he's limited to acting in X way? No, you can't justify that. So what is the justification as to why X is limitation instead of why X is just a course of action that he takes? Go ahead.
So his entire 5-minute rant in the beginning of what he defines reality we're going to be is completely irrelevant. So I'm not gonna really address that. That doesn't really attack my argument, what I'm saying at all. Now to attack his consistency point, and I don't think he really said anything on limitation standards. Already cares about the consistency checkpoint. All that matters here is that yes, it's possible that he could have some broader way to use this ability, right? And it's also possible that he consistently, or he's only able to use it this way. That's why we take both these things, analyze them, and see what happens consistently through the manga. So, Goons, we have two possibilities here. He could use it in a broader category. He could not, because it's restricted to certain rubbery properties that he uses. I'm not saying that Luffy just has to use this in the rubbery type of way because he was making clouds appear and shit. I'm perfectly okay with that. But I don't think it's to the level that you're saying that he could just imagine my character loses and he just instantly loses. So when we take both these things that we analyze here and we run a consistency check on them, consistently in every fight that he's had in this form where he's bending reality, he's just using squash and stretch abilities. You still have somehow not directly addressed that, and you're making up these things and saying he could possibly use it this way. What I'm saying the opposite, and then this is more consistent based on this evidence. Your argument is weaker than mine. It just loses. If you feel like you defeated what I said, Goons, do you feel like we can go to conclusions? I feel like I'm happy to go to conclusions right now.
Yeah, I'm ready to conclude. I'm
gonna bang. This shit's a banger. Like, you're just a fucking joke.
Just to be clear,
bitch.
Mono sent all my scans. Yeah, so why is he still talking? Thank you, Sakazuki. So just to be clear, Mono sent all the scans I need. They're in VC scans, which you can peek at after, Goons. But do you agree to conclude? All he did was just question back right there. Jester, do you agree to conclude?
Yeah, I'm not gonna conclude. Go ahead.
I bet. So, Goons, when he said that he's granting the opposite of possible, what did I say at the start, Goons? I said it's consistent and abductive that the names and descriptions of devil fruits, which is the ability that allows him to do this thing, by the way, the descriptions and names of devil fruits extend and accurately depict what the character is able to do. So I have consistency. I have an inductive and abductive case. He has no inductive and abductive case. All his data set represents is what his character or what my character chooses to do, not what my character is limited to doing. So if I have the capabilities and then I can control what he's capable of doing, that's all I need, which he did not give an argument as to why this parameter should not be set. The same as he didn't give an argument as to why his parameter of them being in character should be set. What I granted was the entity and his abilities, not the entity, his personality and his abilities. I don't agree with that. Luffy has his personality. I believe I'm controlling what he does with the abilities. I believe I'm controlling how he applies the abilities. I'm not controlling what the ability extends to as in its limitations. We go off of the verse for that. But how he applies the abilities and how he works around the limitations is what I am able to choose. He did not give any argument. All he said was, well, this is the case, this is the case, this is the case. He disagrees. But what is argument as to why his disagreement is just? There is no argument at all. I gave justification towards everything I said. Inductive consistency. I gave abductive consistency. You can look at BC scans. Mono sent multiple scans for me that accurately depict the devil fruit's name and description, demonstrating what is the case within reality within the verse. So we see the sand fruit is able to produce sand. We see the water fruit is able to produce water. So I gave a clear difference between reality and subjective reality. Subjective means it's dependent on the mind. So if it says subjective reality, that would be correlative to a reality dependent on the mind. Sand fruit, we know what sand is. It's a type of substance that usually is correlated to a beach. We understand that. So guess what? The devil fruits consistently match the name. They're one-to-one with the name. The same as the water fruit, the character is able to produce water. The dick fruit, the character is able to grow a big-ass dick. We see this. So he did not justify anything. I've justified everything that I said. Go ahead.
Alrighty then. So he didn't make an argument. So, Goons, I think it's really clear for all of us why I wrap up this conclusion really quickly. He didn't make an argument for most of the scans that guy just spammed in the chat. So I'm literally just gonna ignore that. That's just bullshit. I'm just saying there's scans in the chat. That's nothing. I blatantly just disagreed with him saying, oh, I could use this character however I want. I gave an argument as to why I'm like, he can't just do that because that's not consistent with how the character works. And at that point, he's not using the character anymore. And that's not that's not Luffy. That's just him using the ability in whatever way he wants. It's not Luffy. He never responded to that, number one. So that's just bullshit. He just got his fucking like a wedgie given right there, and he just can't respond to that shit for no reason. I gave a consistency check argument that he just failed to respond to and went circular on for zero reason. And then we went over the reality warping definitions, and he kind of just rambled on of how he describes what reality warping is, never really directly disagreed with me, and how the ability works. And he even, set limitations on it. And at the end of the day, I said, we're using comp Luffy. So what Luffy does in the manga, not what he wants the ability to do. So if we're using what Luffy does in the manga, we have to run a consistency check on what Luffy's capable of doing, which is in the debate, and he still can't address and he still can't get around. So at the end of the day, he just got literally fucking suplexed and Batista bombed at that point for zero reason, and he just couldn't comprehend anything I was saying. I don't think there's any way he just won that point. That shit was fucking ridiculous. Like, he was just yapping the entire time. But you could give a judgment on that, Goons.
Wait, Infinity wanted to say something before.
No, we're done with conclusions. Goons, just give it a judgment. I'm not.
No, you can mute Jester real quick. So just
how
to be
no,
clear,
how no? Exactly.
this
How
might
don't mute me.
Yeah, so
Don't mute me. Don't mute me.
Sakazuki, I was
don't mute me. We have to get a judgment first, because that was conclusions. That was conclusions. No.
Wait, hold on. I'm meeting both of you. Wait, hold up. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it up to Goons because I'm not gonna he's the judge. So Goons, do you want to let Infinity clarify anything about his argument before you give conclusions or what? I mean, before you give judgment or not?
If he needs to clarify something, then he can go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Infinity.
I wasn't expecting the retardation from Jester, so just to make sure you don't fall into that retarded state that he is currently, I want to clarify. When I say composite, that's me including all of his capabilities, not how he addresses his capabilities. So when I say composite Luffy in the manga, I'm saying anything he's capable of doing in the manga, anything that's shown that he's capable of doing in the manga, not what he does do. It doesn't need to be shown not what he does do, but what he is able to do, which is distinct claims. How he walks a dog is distinct from him being able to walk a dog. I'm controlling the capabilities that he has. I'm not saying it extends past limitations that's been shown in the verse. All I'm saying is I'm able to control the capabilities that he does. I'm not saying he's able to do anything impossible or anything like that. Nothing is impossible to his mind other than what is inconceivable. And another thing is, he said I didn't address that it wouldn't be Luffy anymore. The entire point of the question bag, which I called at the end of the fucking debate, where we was about to baby, by the way, I want you to vouch for this. I literally said before we concluded, which you can vouch for, that is a question bag. That was in response to him saying it wouldn't be Luffy anymore. That's what's in question. Why does that parameter not being agreed upon until it isn't Luffy anymore? So he just went circular the entire time. Do you have judgment?
Yeah, did Jester want to respond there?
Oh, yeah. Can you mute him? I think, first off, I think it's a little dumb that we let this guy give a second conclusion. If he couldn't clarify his points clearly in the parameters of the debate, why would we let him do it after conclusions? That's my first point. First off, that's like fucking insane. Second off, I didn't question Beg. I gave that in response to his previous statement, put it into question. He just said the same shit again. So he's actually the one that was questioning Beg. So that I want to make that super clear. That was just fucking insane. And when he's saying what he just said about, oh, I'm not extending the limitations of what my character is, I'm just using it in my way, that still falls under the line of what I said. If we're using Luffy in the manga, I literally made this argument, brought it forth, he just couldn't respond to it. If we're using Luffy in the manga, right, then he can't just say Luffy could do this, which wasn't consistently shown that Luffy's doing in the manga. Why would we ever allow that? I made an argument for that, and he just repeat himself again. No more conclusions, guys. Can we go to conclusions, please? This guy just lost. I want to make it super clear. Please mute me. Just go to conclusions, Goons. Mute me, please, and keep us both.
Goons, what do you want to do? Do you want to let the Infinity go further, or do you want to give conclusions?
Yeah, Infinity got bitched.
Oh.
Wait, so just to clarify for everybody in chat, can you please mute Jester? Just clarify, can you please mute Jester? Why is he talking, Sakazuki? Can you please mute him? Sakazuki, thank you. So just to clarify for everybody in chat, I already knew Goons was going to hold me. I'm not going to address him. But just to clarify for everybody in chat, the question bag argument in response, he did not give that at all. As soon as I said he was question bag and we agreed to conclude, he did not give an argument for the question bag at all. Everybody can grant he did not consent the question bag. I said he was question bagging, then we went straight to conclusions. Another thing is,
oh, you cut out Infinity, by the way. Infinity? Hello? Infinity? Hello?
hello, do you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, okay, it works now.
Yeah, so for the question back argument, he did not give an argument. The second thing he said was also not an argument given. All he did was go circular the entire debate. I agree that he can utter some nonsense after the debate, but whether or not it actually upholds to what's said within the debate is distinct. He did not say any of that. But yeah, easy claps. We can move on.
All I'm gonna say is, dude, this Shinra is about to have the craziest agenda of all time. I just want that to be known. I'm just gonna preface
Wait,
that.
that's fine. Goons thinks he won. I literally said that Goons was gonna hold me before the debate started. But can we go on to the next point?
Yeah. Yeah. Just take my character.
Actually, do you wanna leave it off there?
We'll leave it off there.
Actually, how much time do you have?
I have time for like an hour and a half.
Oh, also for the other thing, I said multiple times that mono scan entails an inductive and abductive case. I don't need to the scans. Sakazuki can vouch. Hold on. Anyways, can you please mute him, Sakazuki?
What the hell? We're not even in point. Why would the hell would you mute me?
Can you please mute him, Sakazuki?
Why? You better not mute me. That's
Wait,
fine.
we are in a
point currently. We are in a point currently. Can you please mute him?
Hold up. Wait, both of you, wait, chill. Before we continue, right? I want to just clarify. Are we ending the debate off there, or are we continuing?
No, we're not. That's what I'm trying to say. So please mute him real quick while I'm speaking.
We're not continuing?
Mono. Did you not hear me say multiple times? Type in VC scans. Did you not hear me say multiple times? Mono scans account for an inductive and abductive case.
I mean, you did say that. I mean, I don't...
Okay, thank you. Like, what the fuck? So yes, I did use the scans. I didn't cite the scans specifically because I didn't need to. You didn't ask me to. You didn't ever put in the question. You never contended the inductive and abductive argument because you can't track for shit. So yes.
I mean, you keep yapping, but
and then another thing is, anyways, another thing is this.
Listen. At the end of the day, you didn't convince the judge, bitch. Just keep fucking yapping.
Wait, hold on. Wait, stop this.
And you're just losing. Like, I don't understand. This is autism.
Wait, that's fine. I didn't. That's why. That's
Can
why
we get to the debate?
Wait,
can we progress?
I'm trying to, but you keep
Jester, I don't think he wants to continue.
Can I say my second point? Can I say my second point?
Do you not want to continue the debate?
I think he's telling you.
Nigga, are you stupid? Can I say my second point?
All right, Jester, just let him go. Jester, let him go. I'm gonna mute you.
Okay, so just to be clear, everybody, hold on. Can y'all shut the fuck up? Damn. So everybody in chat, I want y'all to go to general real quick and then search up Goons is gonna hold me. I already predicted this. I already said Goons is gonna hold me. I don't know why he agreed to me, but my second point is Luffy gets stronger the more that he laughs.
Okay, so he's continuing, Goons. Yeah, so to piggyback on that, I just think my character is just like too fast for your character. He's just fucking just like speed blitz him too.
Yeah, what's the argument for that if my character's out of versal?
Why is your character out of versal?
I already gave the argument as to why he's out of versal in the last point, so we just
wait, Goons, then you just gave him that point to me, no?
Wait, that's fine. I'm talking about for the polls.
We're not running polls, we're running judgment.
Yes, we are running polls. I can run polls right now.
This is the official. Well, I mean, we don't agree to polls. I mean, if you're gonna crash out me out.
Wait, just to be, I'm not crying by the way.
Mute him.
But I wasn't done.
Get him, boys! It's crashed out speedrun. Listen, we crashed out too. It's no problem. And you might have lost the polls too, but I don't give a fuck. Yeah, Goons, you here? So my character, so here we go.
Everyone, wait, hold up. For Rizhan and fucking Mono saying the server's biased, bro, Jester's been muted more times than Infinity, but either way, just shut the fuck up. Like, I'm just letting them go on their turn.
So, Dr. Manhattan encaps the entire Justice League at once, casually. Right? Like, he just reacts to all of them and just encaps all of them and just shits on them. Then, and to back this up, somebody who is just as fast as the Flash and arguing the speed point, he just like fucking like erases the reverse. Yes, I did. You didn't read this comic. I own this comic in physical. First off, I don't know who the fuck he's talking about. What he's talking about. And second off, the reverse Flash gets shit on in an even worse way too. To make that clear. So that first off, the guy in Yo Time does not know what he's talking about. That guy literally takes a big dookie in the entire Justice League and they can't react to him. So I'll make that super clear. He shits on a guy who's just as fast as Barry, and it's the reverse Flash. And then I'll just show you like what the speed would correlate to. Just give me a second. So I'm gonna just give like because we're not using VSBW2 and we don't have a parameter set for that. So you got to give me a second to just grab a Barry Allen speed feat and then I'll let him continue. So here we go. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on.
Also, I'll probably have to go in like 10 minutes. So
Okay, that's no problem.
Yeah, that works. I have to go in 10 minutes as well. I gotta go poker.
Yeah, that's no issue. Yeah, here we go. So we just give some quantifiable speed. For now. And then, if I have to add on to it later, I'll add on to it. But from what we know, Barry could like perceive and here we go. What the fuck? He perceives events in less than in an attosecond, right? In less than an attosecond. If you want that, here we go. It's 1/quintillionth of a second. And so he can't perceive Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan just incaps in the previous scan. So I have some like crazy quantifiable speed, like the most like quantifiable possible speed feat like ever, like super duper like infinity MFTO. And even earlier he's outside the timeline.
Wait, Jester, 1 second. Jester, 1 second, because I'm pretty sure infinity was scaling. Like he was given like the whole like laughing thing and stuff like that. Is this
my response? Yeah, so this is my response that I'm saying that he says his character gets stronger with laughing. We don't know how strong his character is. My character has like some quantifiable scaling. His scaling fell through last point. So my character is just fucking.
He said this was a second point, like a second point he was making with like his scaling. But if that's
I know he's like
response, okay, if this is your response, I'm gonna let Infinity address this and clarify whatever he was saying. No,
I know. But we don't know what does he mean by strong.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna let him talk now.
So he has to expand upon it.
I was going to say unquantification versus quantification entails an unknown variable, so that would tell an inclusive scale, and you cannot conclusively determine who's faster if you cannot determine the speed of my character. That's one thing. Secondly, we can determine the speed of my character. He is irrelevant speed by your metric, because I'm sure you agree with irrelevant speed since you posit VSBW. My character is above all concepts because he's universal, which I won the last point. Goons, I want to clarify before you leave. Do you think he won overall or argumentatively as well?
Oh yeah, the judgment was on argumentatively there.
Okay, perfect. So, my character's universal. He would be irrelevant speed. For the point that you just made, nigga, my 1 infinity 2 F for TL, I don't even know what that means. You can go ahead and justify that. That's an actual speed tier. Another thing is, my character is, if I were to grant that I lost that point, which I don't, by the way. If I were to grant that I lost that point, my character will be infinite speed, because each distance or each measurement that you travel can be infinitely divided into the next, so it will be infinite speed. And then for the other thing, I don't give a fuck that he beat the like nigga, fuck the Justice League, bitch. What the fuck? Hell no. And then for the quantification thing, I already get my point for that, so we can conclude.
All right.
I'm just missing the other shit.
Yeah. So just to respond, just to give some AP. Here we go. I think AP is relevant for this guy. He just quantumly just like erases people. So no, I'm not even gonna use that. As a matter of fact. Here we go. Let me get a scan real quick because I know you gotta leave in 10 minutes. Actually, I already posted. Green Lantern feat, some random shit like. We'll get it over with. I gave you know what's beefy. He's just fast and unperceivable, even like attoseconds. So I did give a quantifiable speed tier. His scaling is based on the previous point. So I'll just give you a AP feat. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. He holds down Green Lantern, who could contain an explosion that explodes a galaxy. Here we go. Yeah. You just you could see it. It's good. Somebody if you could see the scans. Yeah. So my computer's a little slow right now. Hold on, I don't know. Okay, yeah. I posted scan. So my character has some quantifiable AP. My character has quantifiable speed. And his character has nothing because his all his scaling is dependent on the previous point. So, which he got judged, he lost. So I win.
All right. All right, Infinity. I'm
So, like I said, I don't care about Goon's judgment. I said before the debate that he was going to hold me. Another thing is, it's not all contingent upon that points. I already gave new points. But yeah, we can conclude. I agree with everything you just said. That is not above my character scaling at all. Yes, we can conclude. So, the debate is over. Easy claps. GG's.
You don't want to hear the judgment, or do you not care? You just not care.
I don't care about Goon's judgment.
Yeah, Goons,
I said that before the debate started.
yeah, so Goons, can I give conclusions real quick? And you just like judge it off of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, and well, this is the judge.
I'm granting what he said. Why would we need to conclude? I'm granting that he has his scaling that he just said now.
Yeah, no, yeah, he granted my scaling. So
so you just want to hear the biased judgment that Goon said? Oh,
no, it's not biased, bro. Goons,
no, it's definitely biased. I predicted it being biased before the debate started.
Goons. Other than today, have I ever talked or met you ever?
I don't care about.
I've never met him.
Interactive biases currently. So, like I said.
So, can you mute him, Sakazuki? This is ridiculous. He's breaking out, and he's like,
mute him.
Okay, wait, hold up. Just one question with Jester. One second. Infinity, right? So, just yes or no. Like, can you give a conclusion? Although you don't care about his judgment, can you just give a conclusion just for the VC?
I'm saying, what's the point of concluding? Hold on.
Okay, then you don't have to conclude. I'll conclude.
Why is he saying that everything? Wait, hold up.
Can I speak to you, Sakazuki? Can I speak to you, please, without interrupting?
Wait,
hold on. You give judgment on argumentative interactions. There was no argumentative interaction because I granted his speed and AP scaling for that point because he did not contend my speed and AP scaling for this point.
Okay, so you're saying you're saying that there's nothing to conclude upon because yours
we agree. Yes,
you agreed with his. Okay, Jester, do you have something to say to that?
Yeah, that's why I want to go to conclusions. His speed, his irrelevant speed scaling and out-of-versal scaling is based off of previous plan.
It off of VSBW. I said it is out-of-versal by your metric, but I don't care about your metric. Yeah, I'm just giving a range. So I don't care about metric, VSBW. If it isn't out-of-versal in VSBW, I don't care. That doesn't defeat my points.
Jester.
Can I not respond? Like, what the hell? I don't know why I get muted. If he's saying it's irrelevant speed based off my metric, which would make him faster, my character. The metric I use consistently is VSBW. If you're not using that metric, then you don't have anything to say how fast he really is. Then we don't know how fast your character is. We don't know how strong your character is. Then you've given nothing. You can't just say, "Oh." The standard is I give evidence to why I think my character is strong. I give some reasoning. If you can't tell me how strong or how fast your character is, then we can't really decide whether or not your character is stronger, faster than mine, then you'd lose, right? You are basing, and this is literally it, Goons. We could just send it off here. This guy just fucking lost and he's crashing out and he's crying about a judge. You are basing your scaling off a previous point that the judge already said you lost. You're cooked. You're done. The debate's over. Like, this shit's cooked. Can we move on, please? Like, this shit's over. Already just everything he just said.
Right.
He's memeing out.
Okay, so just to be clear, wait, can you please mute him? Thank you. So just to be clear, I did not grant you your VSBW metric. I said by your metric, it will be out-of-versal. So when you say if I don't grant your metric and that isn't the case in my metric, you have no speed scaling. That is not true. I said he's above the concept of speed, meaning he's above all speed tiers. Even if it is not the case under your metric, I'm saying in the verse, my character is above all speed tiers. The metric, which is out-of-versal, just giving it a label. So if my character is above all speed tiers and your character's in a speed tier, deductively, which I said we're going to be using logical deduction, about judgment, I granted that for this debate's progression, we can use Goons' argumentative judgments. However, I already knew he was going to hold me before the debate, which I want someone to send in VC scans. I predicted this. I don't care about his judgment for the long run. I already knew Goons was going to hold me. So I don't care about your new points. They don't contend anything. I'm not saying by your metric it is the case and we should accept it to be the case. I'm saying by your metric it is the case, but even if I'm wrong, we still have a deductive scaling for my character when it comes to speed. So the debate is over. GG's, my nigga.
Guess you don't want to conclude, or can we just conclude and get a judgment?
We don't need to conclude because we don't disagree on anything for his points.
So you lost? That's it? You don't care you lost?
Hope I didn't lose.
Okay. So Goons, I'll just make my closing statements.
Hold on, wait.
Oh my god, bro. Please, bro, come on. You better make a second conclusion. Can I please say something and we close it out, please?
Like, I was just gonna tell Goons to give a judgment just for the event and then y'all can stop there.
Yeah, I want to make a closing statement. I don't care if he does or doesn't, or if he feels in his feelings and he wants to or not. But I'll just make it super clear, Goons.
You're so corny, bro.
You can say corny. You sit here and yap around X, Y,
like this nigga said I was crashing out because I was speaking. You're crashing out. Like this nigga doesn't know what a crash out is.
You weren't speaking calmly.
Nigga, you don't know what a crash out is.
Can we mute him?
Yes, under what motoscope are you talking about?
Mute him. I don't give a fuck, bro. Fuck you. Yeah, so anyway, Goons, so all his scaling was based off the point you judged he lost. and he's just saying he's crashing on saying he doesn't care about your judgment, so he just has no scaling and have quantifiable scaling. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Infinity, if you want, you can give one.
One, that's not even true. I gave scaling for this point, Mono. This nigga can't track for shit. I gave multiple lines of scaling for this point. And secondly, I said even if I didn't give scaling, if I were to lose that point hypothetically, quantification versus unquantification entails unknown. We cannot determine what the equation leads to if both variables and that infers the equal sign is either one unknown and unknown or known and known. 5 plus unknown or 5 plus undeterminable does not entail anything other than unquantifiable or unknown. 5 plus 0 is 5, but 5 plus unknown is unknown. We can't determine what the unknown variable is, so we cannot say conclusively that your character, which is 5, is above the unknown variable. This is simple. Like, what the fuck?
All right, so Goons, just go ahead and give your judgment, and then we can end stage.
Yeah, Jester won.
Jester won. All right, Infinity, Jester, I'm gonna unmute you guys if you have anything to say, and then I'm gonna end stage.
Suck my dick, bitch. That's what I thought. Keep fucking talking shit. He's quiet as shit. Your shitty ass internet.
I hope you know,
bum
Jester,
ass bitch.
everybody
You got
listens to
son.
one.
I
I already
violated
knew I
you.
was gonna win.
Okay, yeah, your goon matrix thinks you won. Nobody cares. I just slapped
What,
you on
what?
stage
These niggas
publicly.
are
Just
not
publicly
goons. What the
invaded you.
fuck?
Yes,
Are you
nigga, you
dumb?
have
Mono
goons
is
of a
not-
goon matrix. You're
Mono is
dumb.
not
You
my
need
goons.
to crash
Mono
out,
is
bro.
not my goons.
We got a perfectly neutral
Wait,
judge
what am
and you
I? Hey,
lost. You got
Sakazuki.
son.
Whoa, I don't
grabbed
agree
you and
that
I
he's
slammed
neutral. I
you.
said he wasn't
But he's
neutral
not
before I agreed to him.
Yes, you don't think
Wait,
he's
just to
neutral.
be
You said
clear,
you
just to be
lost.
clear, I agreed he wasn't
How
neutral
long did you
before I
judge
agreed to him.
Sakazuki? Wait, can you tell everybody how long you judged Hunter Sakazuki?
Wait, what?
Wait, what did you say? What?
How long did you judge Hunter Sakazuki, Infinity? You want to tell everybody publicly.
Wait, how many what?
So you can't speak English either? Are you dumb?
No, I literally do not know what the fuck you're saying. What did you say?
Let me
How
keep
long
up about
did I- what
Jester.
was
You're
Sakazuki?
like Mike, like blended that
Wait, no,
shit. I don't
Sakazuki.
know.
No. Don't even correct him because he's fucking retarded. He thought I couldn't track, but
This nigga's dumb
Sakazuki,
as hell. This
can you
nigga's
tell me
dumb
what he
as
said?
hell.
Can you tell me what he said?
This
Can you
nigga's
tell me
dumb
what he
as
said,
hell.
Sakazuki?
You
Or did you
can't
not
believe
hear it
it.
either? And it's probably on his end.
I don't know what Jester said. I don't know the question.
Oh, okay, thank you.
How
So it isn't
many-
just a tracking issue on my end. This
how
was
much
retarded. He
time
thought that shit was
did you judge
rhetorical.
on
Hey, Mono,
Sakazuki?
he thought that shit was
Hey,
rhetorical.
all I know was
Dumbass
rhetorical is
nigga
that
say,
you
"Oh, you don't know
lost.
English."
Anything
Dumbass
that was
nigga, nobody
rhetorical is that
understood
you
what you
lost.
said,
Did you lose?
retard.
Did you lose? You lost,
What are you
right?
talking
So
about?
shut the fuck up, bitch. That's what I thought. Nigga, you lost.
What is he? I lost my goon
0-1?
judgment, who I said I
0-1?
wouldn't accept before. I said I
0-1?
wouldn't accept his judgment before. I just wanted
Wait.
to use him as a
Wait,
progressive weight.
Sakazuki.
Are you stupid? Are you
Sakazuki.
stupid?
Wait, who's 1-0 on the ladder now, though?
Are you? I'm still above you on the ladder. I hope you know that. I have more points.
The ladder reset, dumbass nigga.
Infinity, it resets every week.
It
This is the-
reset, dumbass.
You said, is it 2 weeks or is it more? Is it 1
It
month?
It's 2 weeks.
reset.
The one for
reset.
yesterday. Wait, hold up.
I want to clarify, everybody.
He's like
I
spitting
said
out
I
of his
wasn't
mouth
going
every
to
single time he
accept
says that. Nigga,
judgment. I'm only
you're
going to
debating me
accept
on a
in
wooden
terms
chair
of
and a
progressive
thong
weight.
right now, you nasty ass bitch. Shut the fuck up, bro. Nigga,
Everybody-
the reset. You're 0-1 on the ladder and you're gonna lose to that boy, nasty ass bitch.
This dude is so happy that he beat Infinity.
Nigga, every single time you get to debate me, you're the happiest guy on the planet. Every single time I type in chat, you respond to me. Every single time I hop in a call, you jump in the call and you say something. Nigga, you're dumb as shit. You're dumb as shit. You're like, am I your idol? Do you love me? Like, what the hell is wrong? Like, you're like you look up to me. I think you look up to me. I'm like the next generation. Like, I want to be Jester so bad. I want to be Jester so bad. Like, oh my god, I want to be Jester so bad. Like, you're dumb as shit. You're dumb as shit, dumbass bitch. Like, you just got slammed. You will never touch me on crossfit. All you can do is sit here and ride. That's why Opal fucking Batista bombed you, little fucking bitch ass. Nigga, you're dumb as shit. You're dumb as shit. Wait, Infinity, tell everybody about your boxing career. Wait, tell everybody about your boxing career. Wait, how's your boxing career going? Wait, Infinity, what sports do you play? Infinity, how much money do you have? Infinity, do you have a job? Are you unemployed? Are you a bum? That's what I thought, bitch. That's what I thought, you bum.
Hey, hello. Hey, is my noise suppression off now? You said turn my noise suppression
Infinity,
off.
Everyone in East
Hey, so
vote.
just to be clear,
you got
just
no
to be clear.
bans.
Hold on, wait,
You
hold
got-
on. My bad. I didn't mean to do that. My bad.
You got no bans.
Hey, so just to be
You
clear,
play
everybody
no
look at BC
sports.
scores. I
You
clarified
suck
prior
dick,
to
nigga, and you
the
lost.
engagement that I don't
You
accept
lost,
judgment.
nigga.
What
You
I do
lost.
accept
No
was that
bans.
judgment's gonna be used for
No
progressive
bans.
sake.
No
I'm not
bans.
agreeing that
Wait, but you're
judgment
0-1.
is overarching
Wait, but you're
when
0-1.
considering or
But you're
determining
0-1.
the debate.
But you're
I
0-1.
agree that it's gonna
But you're
continue
0-1.
the
And your mic is
progressive
muffled
debate.
too. And your mic is muffled. Wait, let me show
I'm
you
not
something.
trying to
Let me
loud
show you.
mic, dumbass. I'm trying to fix the settings. Someone told me to.
Well,
turn my noise
you're
suppression
blatantly trying to loud mic. You're blatantly trying to loud
I'm
mic. So I don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to loud mic.
Snail. Hey,
So
Snail,
you're
is
trying
my
to loud
mic
mic.
clear now?
Let's be serious.
Is my mic clear now? I'm not trying to loud mic. Is my mic
Okay,
clear now? Hello.
I got you. Wait, your my shit down. So hold on. Is
Wait,
that
is
better?
my mic clear? Hello. Okay. Okay,
Is
yeah,
that-
thank
is
you.
that-
So
is that
just to be
lower?
clear, everybody
Is
in
that
VC
lower?
squared,
Wait.
I clarified.
Is that
I
lower?
clarified that I'm not going to agree
What?
to
Nigga, was that lower? Is this better?
Progressive thing.
This nigga's just a fucking mongrel. What the hell?
Do y'all even hear this? Do y'all even hear this nigga? Do y'all even hear this nigga just chatting? Do y'all even
This
hear this
nigga's a
nigga over
mongrel. I don't understand. Like, this nigga's a mongrel. I'm like, bro, I have no clue,
You hear
bro.
what he's saying, or am I getting drowned? My bad. Am I getting drowned? Did you hear? Did you even hear?
I
what
never
he
said you were getting drowned, nigga.
I never said that you said I was getting drowned, retard. I'm asking Snail. Did I say
You
Jester?
fucking stupid.
No, I
Who's
didn't
trying to
say
drown you? You're just
Jester. I
making
didn't
shit up,
say
nigga. You
Jester.
fucking suck, bitch.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Such
I
a
just
fucking
wanted to know
dumbass
that.
suck.
So
Guess
just to
what, though?
clarify,
Thank
you can
you.
see in the
Thank you.
screenshot
Thank you.
that I do not
Nigga, this
accept
fun-
Goon's judgment because I agree that he's competent as a debater, but I do not agree that he's competent as a judge.
You said,
I do not
hey,
say that
you
he
said, you
judged.
said,
However,
I'm okay
I
with Goons
understand
judging the
that when
debate,
he
but
is
you think he's gonna hoe you. That's not you
progressive,
accepting
he
Goons as a
understood
judge. That's not you not accepting him as a judge. You not know that?
I
You
said
fucking
he's
dumb.
going to hold me over. I do not accept him as a judge, but I accept him as a progressive person for the tournament. So he's
That's
a judge
not-
for the
yeah,
tournament.
that's not
for the
established. That's not
overall
what was
result.
established. Wait, let's appeal to Saka. Saka, if he's saying I'm okay with Goons judging, then he's saying I think we're gonna get
But
hoes. Just him
he's
saying
not
I'm gonna accept this guy.
I heard you. Wait, yeah, no. He's saying, okay, Jester. He's not disagreeing with you. He's saying that, yeah, I agree
maybe you're
with
not
the judge for the tournament
He's not-
debate.
Go ahead. Tell him. Go ahead.
He's saying that he agreed to Goons as the tournament debate judge because obviously you guys need someone to have someone that for the tournament, right? But he's saying outside of the tournament, just as a debate, right? He's saying that Goons wasn't someone that he would agree to.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. What I'm saying is that he still won one. What I'm saying is that he still won one.
He's gonna hold me over.
What I'm saying is that he still won one. Nigga, you did get hold. You know what hold by?
Does it make
You
any
got hold
sense
by
at
your
all?
own dumbass brain. Nigga, you suck. Nigga, you suck dick. Nigga, you suck. You're so bad. Like, you're so fucking terrible. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're fucking shit, bro. Like, please keep fucking yapping. Keep fucking talking. Keep fucking yapping.
Anyways, so just to be clear, you can see in VC squares, I only agreed to him for the tournament. Why would I agree to someone who I know is gonna hold me over?
This nigga just fucking yappery. This is fucking yappery. Just yap. Fucking Japanese champion. You're just fucking stupid. Like, you're fucking dumb. Nigga, okay, that's fine. I don't agree to the judge because the judge said I was losing. You're fucking bitch.
I literally didn't agree before. I literally before the debate, before he even said I lost, I said I do not agree to Goon's judgment.
Yes, nigga, because it's a neutral judge.
He's not a neutral.
You can't win with a neutral judge. You probably can't even beat Shinra with a neutral judge. I bet money Shin would beat you. I bet money. I put $50 Shinra would beat you. I bet money Shinra would beat you with a neutral judge.
Oh, okay. I mean, we've agreed to multiple neutral
judges. I bet money Shinra would beat you with a neutral judge. I bet money Shinra would beat you with a neutral judge. I bet money. I bet money.
Not all that, bro.
I bet money.
Everybody, I've beaten Shinra like 8 times with neutral judges.
I bet money would beat Shinra. Okay, neutral judges, quote unquote. Tensa, can you judge my debate, please? Shut your fucking dumb ass up. What the fuck?
Hold on, that was back when me and Tensa didn't even fuck with each other. But no, Tensa wasn't the judge of that debate.
This is what they always say. Are you also the guy that says you don't talk to Focus anymore? Wait. Didn't you just say I don't talk to Focus? I don't talk to Focus. I didn't talk to Focus. I didn't talk to Focus. But you put on the same PFP he had on.
I talked to Focus. What the fuck are you gonna do?
Focus?
I talked to Focus, nigga. What the fuck are you gonna do, bitch? What the fuck? What the fuck are you gonna do, nigga?
Oh man, you're scary.
Okay. I talked to
Focus. What type of character you are.
Infinity still talks to Focus, nigga. This ain't 2023, bitch. We don't give a fuck about Focus, nigga.
Yeah, we do give a fuck about Focus. That's why he's still banned from the server. Hey, that's why he's still banned from the server.
Do something, nigga. Do something, nigga.
Wait, why are you crashing out? Did I mention your boyfriend? Did I touch a sweet spot?
Focusing this bitch right now.
I talked about his boyfriend. He started crashing out. I talked about his boyfriend. He started crashing out. No, you can't talk about Focus like that. You can't talk about Focus like you know. Don't talk about my man. You're fucking gay, bitch. Shut the fuck up. You're gay as fuck.
We're gonna continue this. We're gonna continue this.
You're gay as shit, bitch. You're gay as shit, bitch. You wanna kiss him? I know you wanna kiss him.
Nigga, what the fuck?
All right, I'm gonna end the stage. Everyone go to Debate VC if you want to continue listening. Yep.